2 blocks of our house, the OPP has shown up at our house. So,
Okay.
I mean, this goes like,
Yeah.
it's, so we're on edge.
Okay.
And it's not a safe place for my husband, and then we're on our way, and I'm like, Wolf Avenue, oh my God.
Okay. Didn't know that. Thought we were trying to find a neutral spot.
Yeah.
That's kind of halfway.
I asked you guys 3 times
Yeah.
to come to my house.
I know that, and that's really tough for us.
How is it tough?
We're in Pembroke here in Deep River, where it's a little bit of.
15 minutes there, an extra 15 minutes is too much. Yet we have to spend our own money to go see a public worker, someone who works for the public. How many times have you guys come out to my place on a whim just because Frida said so?
See, that's what bothers us. And we've had some, and she's called and she's reported us, and we've had, gotta come, there's no report, blah, 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 talk to Brooke, talk to you. Nobody has any problem making it out to our house when that's the case, right? So, yeah.
So I guess I'm seeing this meeting as being a little bit different, and me not having that piece of history. I apologize. I didn't know that's what I was putting you in.
Did you read the file? That's 6 years worth of shit over at your office. Did you read anything?
Yes.
Okay.
We did. We've had some conversations.
You know where I stand on this. You know exactly where I stand on this. Over 2 years now that I have not seen my son based on lies and bullshit. 100% from the day one she left. She told the cops one lie after another. After another. She should be charged with kidnapping. If I would have done that, left the way she did with my child, I wouldn't have got out the driveway, and you guys, there would have been a yellow alert out or an amber alert out for my son, and I would have been arrested before I got out of my driveway.
He has a point, because my ex took my daughter from out of province and brought her here in the first place. He went with you guys. And it didn't take actually much for me to get her back. He made accusations of cocaine abuse against me. He said I was beating him and my daughter, and he actually would have shown up at your office with a big black eye, because I did punch him, because he tried to hit me and miss. So when he returned to this province with my daughter and went to your office, he had a black eye and accused me of a drug addiction that I have a history of. And when I phoned your office when I got to this province and said, I hear reports that my current husband or ex-husband has told you guys about me, and he's removed my daughter from out of province, and I'm here to get her. I would like to come in and see you guys before I take her out of the province again, because I was afraid, like, if I took her and there was these allegations, and you know what I mean, and your response to me was, no, we didn't open a file. And I found that concerning, because the allegations made against me and the fact that he would have walked into your office with a black eye. So that's just an example. And James lives that life. He knows my history, he knows my past. So, and there's been times when James has tried to get a hold of, like a year ago, hold of Christine, and no answer. And he was like, yeah, from the visitation center. And like, in an example, and I said, well, try again. And still no answer, no return call. My ex shows up, and he was currently dealing with the visitation center for a new baby with somebody else. And he got a phone call within 20 minutes returned, sitting at my house next to James, who still was waiting after 4 days for a return phone call.
Yeah, because
so you can't deny these things to him.
Her ex is still a friend of ours. He's still my stepdaughter's father. He needed a place to stay for a little while. Well, guess what? Guess who offered their hand? Yes, you could stay at my place. You're darn right you can.
Yeah, well, let me just finish this part. So my ex is involved with you guys at that time because he faced charges of assault, unlawful confinement, all that against his current girlfriend. And there's a child. My child was also there. I've stopped visits 2 years ago when that happened on her weekend. She has to come back for a visit. She's 18. I still won't allow her back in that house. Through the process, he was charged. He was found guilty. He served his time. He did his thing. And all through that, CAS was involved with custody and helping them out. CAS went into the mediation with, CAS went above and beyond for these two. And here we are sitting here 6 years later. And there was no question of the abuse in that home because there was charges laid. He served time. They weren't allowed to live together for a certain amount of time. They're now back when we have people so close to us dealing with these kinds of situations, and CAS is going above and beyond, dealing with the mediation through the courts, speaking on Jessica's behalf or PJ's behalf, and then we have Bobby sitting there listening to Frida accuse us of canceling 12 visits in front of the judge, and just, then we go out on break, and we're like, Bobby, like, you're the only one that can, because James can stand there all he wants in front of the judge and say, Your Honor, I didn't cancel 12 visits. All it would have taken was for Bobby to walk back into that courtroom and say,
Or Becky.
but she wasn't there that day. Bobby was actually at court with us. It was the first time that somebody actually went to court with us. Not quite sure why, because all he did was tell James that he was self-destructing and out of control, but he's representing himself. So I mean, James never got kicked out of the courtroom. The judge said, Mr. Britz, I see you're getting a little bit frustrated. How about we have a recess? There was no kicking anybody out of the courtroom.
So it's okay for
I
Bobby
don't know
to lie.
why that was said, but my husband was not kicked out of any courtroom. We braked for a recess because he was getting upset after her lawyer read off all this BS about the visitation center and visits and cancellations. And I'm looking at Bobby beside me like, I'm surprised the judge didn't say, Ms. Britz, you have something to say. And I'm looking at Bobby like, are you not going to speak up? Are you not going to go back in that courtroom after the break and say, there's been some misinformation? And he didn't. We've requested a letter from your agency stating that, because we've always made you guys aware of what she's submitting to the courts, what the untruths are, that you guys could validate for us that it's untrue. But for some reason, everybody in the office refuses to step up and submit a letter. I'm writing this on behalf of Mr. Britz and Ms. Brazo's current custody, whatever, and put out that there was misinformation. There has not been 12 visits canceled. All the things that we knew you guys could.
So 12 visits you're talking about when there was potentially.
She did that 3 times in court, 3 different court cases. Every time she went to court, she lied about visits.
Yeah.
Lied about visits being made, and I canceled all the visits.
But the last court date was 12 visits. She said was canceled.
So my
Or didn't show up.
this goes back to when there potentially could have been weekly visits.
This goes back.
Yeah.
One incident, right?
Yeah.
And then where.
The one incident.
No.
Every incident.
The one time when. When we met with Mike.
Yeah.
I think there was a time when you talked about, you said you're gonna take a break from access, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go and, I'm not sure if you're connecting with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my understanding, that's when she went into, there was a court piece and it said you had canceled or not showed up for 12 visits.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure what.
So how
all I know
cancel?
is that we didn't cancel, and
Right.
we were not no-shows. And the only ones who could truly make that clear to the courts would be your agency or the visitation center, and we've requested that. And nobody has ever
Who's doing the visits and was that Christine's?
Well,
program,
no.
Or was that?
It was.
Why does Christine still have a job?
Let's not talk about Christine right now, but
So just because I do
observing the
actually think
visits, no, it wasn't Christine. I don't. It
it
was
would have been, I think,
Catherine.
It was a different one every time. It was
Yeah.
a different one every time.
Yeah.
I think it was mainly Catherine Daly.
It was mainly Catherine because he had mentioned Catherine more so than other girls. So
I think at one point.
Catherine.
Becky
But-
might have done come in for a couple. I think Mike actually did a visit around Christmas, like a couple.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at no point has any agency member, because we all know the courts are like insisting that anytime there's an order, it has to be your agency or the visitation that helps with these, to facilitate these visits and do this. She's had 2 bogus protection orders against him, so he couldn't go around her. The first one, she piggybacked on Nicole Denison's, because we're not really sure why one was slapped on him then. And
Again, another
but then
social
we
worker.
got the letter from Nicole that she had sent to Frida, but not to us, about him having a mental illness, and that's when we phoned your agency and was like, whoa, who the hell is Nicole Denison to submit a letter to Frida and not us? And in it, she states that he suffers from mental illness, and it wasn't until 2 years later that Frida
Total 100%.
decided to present that in court. And so I phoned your agency and I requested a report of his mental health assessment that was done by you guys. Call your bluff. Produce that assessment that she's so confident she can submit to the mother, and then the mother now, 2 years later, has thrown that into the court documents.
Now it's listed in court that
Now
I
it's-
have mental health
yeah.
issues, yet I handed in to you guys 7 different times my psych profile, 9 years in military intelligence as an analyst. Every year I had to get my head examined. If I had any type of PTSD, any type of mental sickness of any kind, depression, anything that would alter my biased tendencies towards my analytical skills, I would not be in that job.
And do you remember, like, so I think you met with Ariana with that, and then you followed up, remember Heather? And then you had, Heather was your work, Heather Galley, and I think visits were starting again, after that kind of, those worries, right? So then you had visits then, like I'm going back, and
I had visits at home.
Yeah.
Right.
We
And
represented
every time
ourselves.
I had my son at
Yeah.
home, she was caught stalking me. We
Yeah.
pulled out of
And
our
that was what
driveway,
Heather-
there's my
she was
ex.
watching
Yeah.
Play check, right?
Nothing was happening. Nothing was done.
Yeah.
She
And then we had, then we went to court, we represented ourselves. It was a lot of work.
and then
But we managed to get visits at home on Saturdays. Pick up and drop off, we were reporting to the agency, to our workers, that Frida would be like in random spots watching us. One day John pointed out, oh look, there's Mummy. Nothing
was
done,
done.
no one
Phone the
cared.
police,
Phone
it's
the
a family
police.
matter now.
But yeah, you know what I
And
mean?
you guys just don't even
And
do it.
then,
She almost runs her over and my stepdaughter with her car
yeah, we'll get to that, just give me 1 second.
and nothing's done. Imagine if I did that.
So then James and his mom went to speak to Christine, because Christine,
Claimed,
yeah,
she
she was,
informed us that you could get a 24-hour emergency hearing.
Yeah.
In regards to visitation.
because Frida was
So
refusing
we
to
went
allow John to see his mother once again while she was in town.
So we went down to the courthouse, asked for this supposed 24-hour emergency hearing. They've never heard of that. That does not exist.
So then they go to the visitation center and they have a disagreement with Christine. Keep in mind, John was not there. Christine is the one who chose to engage in this in the open.
In the open.
She's the
She
one
would
who
not go
chose
to the
not to
office.
ask them to come to a conference room or whatever. She chose to do it basically right there in the lobby of the visitation center. And by the time I'm sure they weren't even in the car, she closed the file on visits because of this disagreement with him and his mother, which had nothing to do with John, there was no children present, but she felt that it was her duty to stop contact
break the
between a
law.
father and son.
To break the
So then
law.
I met with Jeff List, if you recall.
Yeah, and so
Okay,
just
yeah.
in relation to the car, I think you spoke to Jeff, because that actually happened at the supervised access.
Yeah.
That was when you were in
It was a
supervised
block
Yes,
away, yeah.
yeah, so when I met with Jeff in regards to that, yeah.
And I'm not sure if you met with Ariana in regards to that. So you had the car, and I think Jeff did follow up with you on the car incident, and then.
No, he didn't. He
No,
looked
he
right at my stepdaughter's face and said, if it didn't happen on our property, obviously it didn't happen. And yet he got a phone call from the OPP saying, what do we do about this? Because it's now a family issue. How do you want us to respond? All they did was go down and take her pictures off the phone that Frida took, which, by the way, they shouldn't have done. It's perfectly legal to take pictures off the public. I don't know why they did that.
Well, because it was Brooke, and it was a sexual assault trigger for Brooke to have her
Still.
picture taken. So the OPP went to,
Right, which was at your request, to take the pictures off, sorry.
no, we went to the visitation center, they said, Melissa and them, go report this to the OPP, we went to the OPP, and I think because my daughter was a minor, is why they were taken off. Because at the
No, that's
time,
not
she was
allowed.
a minor.
No, you didn't do it. You're out in public. There's cameras all over the place and gas stations and everything.
Yes, but it
You can't
wasn't
put it on.
taken like, I'm taking a picture of you and my daughter was in the background.
It was
That's
how it
not
was
the,
taken.
So
I think it
I
was.
got you, bitch. You fucking.
Yeah, that's what she was saying when she took it.
Frida took it.
She leaned over Andon, who was in the passenger seat, John was in the back seat, the car seat. She leaned over Andon and was like, I got you, you fucking bitch, you're gonna fucking get it now, you'll never fucking see him again, fuck you. Like, she was just losing her.
And it's more directed towards you than your daughter, or?
Well, of course, but my daughter was sitting
Yeah,
on
no,
the
I was
passenger
just trying to
side,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
So she actually only ever she was screaming in my daughter's face
Said it's really.
and taking my daughter's picture.
Yeah.
But of course it was directed towards me.
And Jeff claims he acted on that. He did absolutely nothing.
No, there should have been an
100% nothing.
investigation.
So how come he's not charged? How come he still has a job? Again, my rights under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in this country have been violated.
How about my daughter's rights?
So you said
Because no investigation was brought forth.
You said that Jeff spoke to Brooke.
In his office, we went to see him. In his office. And he was smart and smug and ignorant.
My daughter
Didn't
can tell you
give a
word for word
shit.
to this day what was said to her. Because she had all faith and trust in your agency based on when she was abused. And the help and the counseling and the support and the love your agency showed her in that time, in that couple of year period of her life. Okay? So when she went and sat in that office, and that's what she was told, to this day it bothers her. And it
Disgusting.
would. It would.
That's a
Because
public
to her,
worker.
she had been assaulted again. To her, Frida didn't know that what Frida was doing would cause my daughter. Frida had no idea my daughter's a sexual assault survivor. Okay, she doesn't know that photos is a trigger and was part of her assault. But the fact that your agency does and did, because Melissa, who worked for the Phoenix Center, was Brooke's counselor at that time. So it was the grace of God when we got to the visitation center, because I immediately pulled out. I didn't care if I was showing up before I was supposed to give a 15-minute grace period after pickup time so that Frida could get off the site before I would go and pick him up. You know how they have that 15-minute overlap? I didn't care. I immediately rolled up her window, put my car in drive, and I actually drove out behind her because she was parked in the middle of the road, and to get to the visitation center, just to get away from this, right? And Melissa was working, thank goodness. So of course my daughter, senior therapist, who was just like fell into her arms, was bawling her eyes. She took photos, Melissa. Melissa would know, okay? She helped write her story. And go to the police, report this. So we go to the police, we do what we're supposed to do. We've been doing what you guys have been telling us to do, okay? We did it. Do you think we wanna go and report John's mom to the police? No, but guess what? Now there's another child involved. Sorry. And my daughter trumps everybody.
That's why I called you guys
So then when
first.
the OPP called your agency and reported this, to this day, I've asked numerous times, you included, why wasn't it investigated? Because we all know if it was my husband leaning
In jail.
over my daughter
In
with
jail.
John in the back seat, attacking Frida and taking photos of her, there would have been an investigation. So why was there not? Why whoever received that phone call, because they've seen Brits, when in reality the victim was Brooke Chartrand?
That's profiling.
Why?
It's discrimination.
100%. 100%.
That goes against.
100%. If my
You
daughter,
guys have broke 14 laws against me under the Canadian Charter of Rights.
Yeah.
14!
we confirm that with the owner.
14! I'm pushing for 17. There's 3 more that I want, but they're like, James, that's going to be a stretch. But 14!
Yeah.
14
There was
different
a couple who
times
did
you
realize
broke my
until
rights.
his therapist pointed it out, because his therapist is a court, is mandated court reporter. And it's the first time we've had a therapist in our life that is required to report to the courts.
Do you
And
have?
we've learned a lot in the
You
last
guys are
few months.
are you considered a social worker? Are you considered a social worker? You are. Okay, you're registered with the CESW, correct? You have to be. You honored that oath you signed. You signed on to be a social worker for that oath,
Right.
right? Do you know what it says in there? Can you repeat it for me?
So can I like quote it? Like I know what it says about.
Do you know the part of it where it says you will obey the law? You will do what you must to obey the law. You work for the public, i.e. you work for me. You don't work for Frida. Well, you do. But right now, I'm John Q. Public. Private citizen, public worker. Private citizen, public worker. Do you understand that? Who pays your salary?
Understand who pays our salary.
Okay, so what's going to happen here?
So that's my.
My rights have been destroyed for 7 years. This woman has lied from day one. The day she left, every affidavit she's handed in the court has changed, one after another.
Point that
The
out.
first affidavit, she said there was nothing she took from the house. Couple affidavits, yes, she took a bunch of stuff from the house that she should have done. First, a couple of affidavits, there was no money given to her already to help pay her off bills. That's not true. Well, the very last affidavit, yes, she admit that $60-some thousand she used of mine to pay off her bill. But she handed that in after she already got the court to ding me for 30 grand, plus her lawyer fees, plus close to $700 a month on one child. Based on a wage that I don't even get anymore, because I am not in the army. I can't even stand up and tell him that's wrong without being told by the judge, you better get a lawyer, sir, because it's going to be a lot easier for you. So I was ignored by the judge.
Yeah.
And who is going to stand up for me and say, whoa, 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 Mr. Judge, I'm sorry, but Miss Brazo's been lying to us from the start. She admitted to Nicole Dennison about lying on why she left our relationship. She admitted to that 5 years ago.
Okay, so then I met with Becky.
She admitted to the 5 years ago about lying. About lying. What's it say in your code of ethics about biased tendencies? Are you allowed to display any biased tendencies?
And we always try to do our work in
Exactly.
So I have
So
a question.
why is it that she's not in jail? Why is it that she's not charged with kidnapping? Why is it that she's not charged with parental alienation? Why isn't that she's not charged with endangering children?
Well, kidnapping would be off the table now because this has gone on for so long that she's now got a custody order. And when mentally, emotionally, we could not go back and represent ourselves one more time. We couldn't. We could
I cannot
not do
defend
it.
myself anymore.
Because you know what? When the day comes that John realizes what's going on and he has the choice to be in his dad's life, my husband still has to have a piece of himself left to raise his son. Let's be real. Okay? So let me finish. So when she closed the file after this disagreement, and I met with, I think it was you guys, I met with Jeff List,
Who are we?
Christine, because she was personally offended.
Yeah, so
Because
her
hers and
feelings
James,
trump my rights.
James and James's mom got into a disagreement.
she got
over-
the disagreement first. She
Yeah.
yelled first. She raised her voice at me and my mother right in
So-
front of the hallway.
Which had nothing to do with John, nothing to do with the visits, nothing. It was all about getting an extra visit so James's mom could meet John.
She was already in
Okay,
town for 2
so,
months.
but Christine obviously got her feelings hurt, James raised his voice, blah, 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 and, she decided to play God and decided that it wasn't worth father and son continuing to see each other. And because of
Becoming with
that one
arrest papers for
choice,
her.
because of that one choice, we've seen John maybe,
I have seen him in
Not
6 years. I
like,
have seen him. I've counted up all the 1 hour visits, the 5 or 6 hour visits that I've had. In the last 5 years, I've had a total of 53 hours time with my son in 6.5 years.
I've had
Just
about-
over 2 days.
I've had about
That's not parental alienation?
an hour and a half to get to know my stepson on your site, and I've had visits at home. Brooks had maybe 12 hours to get to know her stepbrother. She now graduates high school and move out. So any type of relationship that our blended family
Gone.
bonding could have had is gone to the wayside now. It's gone. Our blended family will never coexist like a normal blended family.
Because you
And I'm the
people
poster
got
child
your
for the
feelings
very
hurt.
much. Like,
And
I'm
apparently,
from a blended family.
and apparently your feelings override
Yeah.
what it says
Not
in the
yours.
Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I am referring to all of them.
Yeah.
Because they are all lumped in that same fucking boat now.
Mhm.
This is unbelievable. Disgusting. Disgusting how you guys think you can treat the
Okay.
public.
I gotta make this point. So, within less than 2 weeks, visits were reinstated. At this time, our visits were taking place at home. So the only contact, truly, that the visitation center had in any of this was the 15 minutes for drop-off and the 15 minutes for pickup. There was no longer visits taking place at the center when Christine decided to pull the plug on these visits. So it wasn't actually visits, it was just exchanges, okay? So we get a letter from Duncan because of course Christine sent out letters stating that the file was closed, blah, 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 blah. Frida's lawyer sends out a letter and states that as soon as the visits get reinstated, please let us know, we'll resume visits as regular. Within less than 2 weeks, I had my meetings with you guys and the file was back open, visits back ready for pickup. Frida's contacted, her lawyers contacted, we're contacted about the start date. At this time, Frida decides that there's too much tension at the visitation center between Christine and James, and she doesn't want John there because of his autism, and he feeds off it, and it could hurt him, and it could trigger him. So visits
Autism
haven't
that I have
commenced.
no idea about.
And we're sitting here today because visits still have refused to commence. Except now she's flipped the script. And now she's insisting the only place the visits take place is at the visitation center.
All because I'm saying I can't go there, I don't feel safe there.
That's right.
But you guys say, piss on what you want, Mr. Britz. We'll do what the mom wants.
Because
Again,
he wants us to
let's
say
go number
person.
7
Like he was even
on the
willing
list
to
of
do
14.
the visitation center, even today willing to do the visitation center if he could have a support person there with him. Someone he felt was Team James, who he could feed off of that positive energy, which in turn trickles down to the child in the room. Because we all know, if you're social workers, children feed off their environment. It's learned behavior, okay? And if my husband's feeling tense and anxious and scared and on edge, John's feeding off of that, okay? And that's all we've requested, is that he have a support person. And I've even made it very clear that when you're putting this to Frida, you make sure that we're not insisting that it's Jennifer, because for some reason she don't like Jennifer. Maybe it's because she don't want him, but she don't want anybody else to have him. So it doesn't even have to be Jennifer. It doesn't even have to be Brooke. It could be Roger, his best friend. It could be Melanie, my best friend. It could be just
All
somebody
these people he's
that's
met
not within
before.
the agency, that's not within this, but is somebody that he feels safe with, so that he can enjoy his visit. And she refuses that. Why would she refuse that if she's looking out for the best interests of John?
Has she refused other people?
Yes, she has refused every list of at least 4 to 6 people that we
Everyone.
presented to her in the last 6
And her
years.
excuse
So her
is
best
autism.
interest
It's
is
autism.
not for John. It's what's the worst interest for James.
She tells the court that his autism's really bad. He's scared of strange
Yep.
people, strange noises, strange
It's
everything.
triggered
It's
from all of
triggered
this.
from all of this stuff. Yet he tells you people that it's just mild autism. It's just something. That's
Well, no, it wasn't until that John started coming to our house for visits. We have a 4-wheeler, we have a batting cage, we have a couple drum sets, we have a very loud house. Okay? None of this is triggering John.
No strangers treat. He
Okay.
walks up to them and shakes their hand.
One of his first home visits happened to be Easter. My son's birthday is April 8th, so we always try to combine it all into one and just celebrate, and we did because John was coming out, so he had all kinds of strangers there. John was walking up and shaking all their hands like a little gentleman.
Because he saw me do it.
Wasn't triggered, wasn't scared. He was on the 4-wheeler. He actually cracked the bumper on our 4-wheeler during this plowing snow with James one day. You know what I mean?
No,
So-
I cracked it. He saw it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Gave me shit.
Yeah, that's right. So
Person
we
in the
bring this
4-wheeler.
to you guys. Our concerns about his autism. We don't, okay, we're not denying that he doesn't have autism. We just don't feel that it's what Frida says it is. She's using
I
that
haven't gotten anything
diagnosis
from it.
that we actually found out about on Facebook because she posted about the government refund for children with autism. So then we called your agency and was like, what the hell? Does John have autism? Because she's going on about how much this refund is going to help her out in life. And sure as shit, we find out he has autism. Should she have not told the visitation center this and us this? That's how much she didn't care about the best interests of John.
4
But
years
now
ago.
all of a sudden,
Just to go back, I thought there was someone that did with when Tracy was your worker. I think it was someone that came out from.
yeah, she came out to tell us about all the different programs that we could attend with John.
You
When's
know
that
what you
gonna
guys?
happen?
You know what you guys had on file?
But also talk about autism, right?
You know what you guys had on file that generated that meeting? A note from the family doctor saying that maybe he should go see a specialist and get checked. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
In 4 years ago, I got a court order stating that I get all his medical reports, all his school stuff. I have not received one item in 4 years.
No, we've gotten a couple report cards, but they're scattered. Like we'll get like one a year, one a school year. I think maybe 2 last year.
Nothing on
but
his
for the
autism.
school report cards, they don't even dictate everything that she's been saying that would prevent him from having normal visits and contact with James and James's family. Her reasoning behind her not allowing John to meet James's mother, his grandmother, his only living grandparent. Her parents are dead James's father's dead. The only living grandparent she has refused to let John meet.
Because she told the judge that my mother is a child abuser. Now it's on record on Pembroke Court that my mother's a child abuser.
That was devastating.
My mother couldn't even spank me growing up.
That's devastating. Yeah, you've never.
63 years old, 64 years old, crying in court because the judge said, no, Mrs. Britz, you are not going to be able to see your grandson anymore.
Based on the allegations.
Based on what Frida's lawyer
Unless
told
we
me.
get a lawyer,
Sorry.
unless we go to court, unless we spend another we've already spent over $20,000.
Of my mother's money.
Enough is enough. Like, okay, the reality of it is, the mother's not looking out for the best interests of the child.
The reality is she needs
That
to
is.
go to jail. Long and the short of it, she keeps breaking the law. You have 4 or 5 social workers in your organization that need to be disciplined immediately. They need to be suspended with or without pay. I don't care. That's up to the board to decide that. I know the rules. You cannot witness, especially if you're a social worker, a client of yours, you cannot witness someone break the law and not report it.
Well,
That is in itself is breaking the law. It says so right in your oath.
I'm going to use Mike's words. So, we've been arguing the last couple of years about safe place, safe environment, support people during the visits, and then there's this topic came up about writing a story. And I sat with Becky one day down at the waterfront in Deep River, and I looked at her and I said, Becky,
Story.
how the am I supposed to do this? Because James's story is, John, your mom was my forever. I loved her with every bit of my being. And Becky, I know what that feels like because he loves me that way. I come home one day from work, John, and there's a 27 moving truck in the yard, and your mommy cleaned me out of everything that I ever worked for over my life and took you, and I didn't see you again, and now here we are today. That's the reality of James's story. He was completely blindsided by this. He reached out to your agency when they were still together for help.
Before she left.
Because of her postpartum. And she denied it, and you guys backed that up. And then when the Ontario children's lawyer came in, Frida's been receiving treatment at the Phoenix Center, or one of the centers, for postpartum depression. I think I brought that up to your attention.
2 years ago!
How is that not concerning that she just lied the whole time and tried to put all the mental illness and aggressiveness on us, when in reality she was the one receiving help for postpartum? And guess what? I'm Lady T for Dalhousie University case study for postpartum depression in 1997. I was borderline psychosis. I was ready to kill my kid. Okay? Postpartum's no joke. And if she's doing the bare minimum to treat it,
3 times.
it's a matter of time.
Immediately after she left. 3 times. Once I reported it to the OPP, all 3 times I reported it to you. She phoned, she said, give me money, give me money, give me money. You owe me money, give me money. You ever want to see your son again, give me money. I said, no, we're not doing that till we go to court. Till we figure out what's going on. You stole everything out of my house. Why do you need my snowblower, my lawnmower, 2 chainsaws, and a bunch of my tools to live in an apartment?
Yeah, I mean, she's not even gone a week, and I mean, he needed money to put food in his cupboards, to buy plates to eat that food off of.
She took
let's
it all.
be real here.
She took it all.
He went and lived with a friend of ours, and this was when we were just friends, and I went to buy some insulation off you. And I walked into his house, and at this time we're just friends. There's no emotional ties, there's nothing. It was the saddest thing I've seen. There was a dirty bowl and a spoon in the sink, and that's all he had for any kind of cookware or anything to eat off of or prepare food in.
The day before she left, she went and spent
There's one
$650
picture of John on the
on
wall. The only thing hanging on any wall in any room in his house was one photo of John. That's all she left him. If you have an intention of being a good mom and a great co-parenter, some toys that have been left, some bedding, some, baby stuff.
She took everything. She
She
everything.
had no intentions of allowing that little boy to return to his home based on how she left it for him. What mother would leave their child's home like that? Because I know when I left my children's father, he got all the fun outdoorsy toys left with him, like Brooks crossbow, her pellet gun, the 4-wheeler, like the sleds, and you know what I mean? He had like 3 outfits because she only went for the weekend. So there was like, That's how you co-parent during a separation. That's when you know you have intent on
And I have
co-parenting
said
and
from
allowing
day
your
one.
children.
Day one, the day she left,
Mhm.
I said, we're doing 50-50. I said this the first time I met you people. I want 50-50 custody. He can go to school in Pembroke or Petawawa, stay with his mom during the week. I just want him on weekends. And I want to be able to say, to phone her. I'd say, look, I can't take him this weekend. I want, you can keep him. I want her to phone me on a Wednesday, say, I got stuff I got to do. I need you to come get it. Right? That should be, in fact, that is the law. At the states, 50-50 at the start.
Yeah.
But no, you guys right away jumped on the freedom bandwagon
Exactly.
and said, holy shit, obviously she's telling the truth. This guy's a bad dad.
And a perfect example of
Bad
that
father.
is Peter Chartrand and Jessica LeBlanc. You can go back to the office and look up the file. Because your workers stepped in and helped them mediate the visitation agreement for Serenity. My daughter's, I know so much because it's my ex and we were together 26 years. And it's my daughter's little sister, but he's helped facilitate, you encourage that. Your agency encouraged that for them and helped them figure this out. And he has been charged with actually putting his hands on the mother. And you still went above and beyond and helped, which I think is great for Serenity's sake.
And who's that one that,
But it makes me wonder.
that called in that fake claim to the cops saying I was supposed to, I threatened her life? I asked her if she had a child. She said no. I said, well, how do you know what it's like to lose something? How would you like it if your house burned down or something? You lost everything. Are you threatening me? Are you threatening me? I'm not threatening you. I'm giving you an example. She calls the cops, tells them that I threatened to burn her house down. I did 30 days in jail for that. On a fake, fucking false claim again by your agency.
All because that worker didn't have a child, so James couldn't say to her, well, then how would you feel if you lost your child? But instead it was, well, how would you feel if your house burnt down? Because she didn't have, it was metaphorically speaking, and then Frida jumped on that bandwagon. She got attached to that restraining order that was placed against him for Nicole and your agency. Frida somehow got involved and put on that restraining order. Lindsay, sorry.
Does she still have a job?
Like, you know what I mean?
How the hell does she still have a job? I want these people, everybody that I've worked with, every caseworker that I've worked with, I want their full name, especially Paul. Paul. What's his last name? Used to be at the MP shack quite a bit. Paul Henry. You know what he used to do before he was a fucking social worker? An OPP officer who was fired for corruption, for calling in fake 911 claims just so he could get access to people's houses.
Sorry.
And this is your social worker guy? This is the guy that you guys hire? He cannot work in the public sector again. And you give him a social worker job with children? What the hell is wrong with you people? Seriously, who do you think you are? This is I can be condescending to whoever I want to. You work for me. I don't care how it works. They've known this for 6 years now. Because I'm 6 feet tall and got a deep voice. Oh, are you guys gonna get your feelings hurt again? And then you're gonna ignore me? Bullshit. This is enough. This is enough. I want full names of everybody I work with. I want how much they make per year, and I want what they put into their pension, because I'll be taking their fucking pensions.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Go ahead.
So I'm newer to
Yeah.
your story, and I have Suzanne here because she's got the story.
Yeah.
You're obviously here.
What is your full name and position?
My name is Kathy Davis.
Say it loud enough for the camera, please.
Kathy Davis. I'm the executive director. I'm not a social worker.
Okay.
Executive director where? Here in this building, in Renfrew, in Petawawa, where?
Renfrew County.
Renfrew County?
Okay, let her talk.
We're here because I want to hear your story.
Mhm.
It's not a happy.
Do you honestly believe that?
It's not a happy story for me to hear.
No.
I'll tell you that. Okay. I know there was all kinds of other stuff that went along the way. I know there are two sides to every story. I'm here because I want to hear your side.
Okay.
But I also
okay.
want to know.
Hold on right there. Hold on right there. You said there's two sides to every story. Look at that second side.
Yeah, there's about
Every time has changed. Their story, even your workers changes their story.
15 sides.
My side stays the same.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good. So what I'm hoping for today is that you can tell me if you leave here today and feel like, okay, they listened to me, I feel like something's gonna happen, it was a half decent meeting.
No.
What does that look like?
No.
And if not, so you have some other people that you're wanting to complain about or wanting us to look into, and if that's the case and we have a formal complaint mechanism.
No. I've gone there.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago. I'm still waiting for a response. I phoned them back and said, oh, here's a 4 to 7 year wait period.
Was that the CFSRB?
The CFSRB,
Okay.
4 to 7 years on your agency alone.
Just for.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Lower.
No.
There's kids in the building.
Yeah, that's not our experience, but okay.
Not your experience.
Well, we're 5 years in and still haven't heard back, so it must be
So
some
you
kind of.
lodged a complaint with the CFSRB.
That was on the one that charged me.
Yeah, this was at the very
And there
beginning.
was never a response to it.
No.
I filed it online. I wrote them a letter. I emailed. Nothing. But you guys blocked my emails.
But that wouldn't come to us, a CFSRB
No.
complaint, right?
Does it? Well, still, is it illegal? Isn't it
Okay,
not
so
illegal
let
for
me-
a public?
Can I finish my?
Jeez,
I know, I
Murphy.
just wanna finish
No,
my
you
point.
go have the meeting. I'm gonna go.
So,
Jesus Christ.
she's insisting that the only way visits take place now with James and John is if it's at the visitation center with no support person.
Okay.
But she stopped visits at home. They were going great. They were going great
And
at
they
home.
just stopped because of the exchange piece?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Christine and James and his mom got into an argument. Christine didn't like it. She closed the file.
Is he okay?
Yeah, go on, no, it's not.
Is there, I'm just trying to like, in the sequence of things, was there also not at one point where, John received an injury at a visit? Like it was accidental?
Yeah, but we don't even know that it was at our house because she blamed it on the fireplace
Yeah.
in the living room, but our
And it
fireplace
wasn't-
externally doesn't get hot.
I thought it was a campfire outside.
No, it wasn't. She said it was our fireplace in our house. Because
And I
she,
know that.
she
and
would
I
know for
there
sure,
was no
it's like,
words.
it's like a propane fireplace.
Okay.
So to touch,
Right.
you don't get burnt. So we're not really sure how he got that burn, if it even happened at our house. How do we know it didn't
And I know
happen?
there was no words of the accident.
Yeah.
I thought there was something around that time.
Like, how do we know
There's also-
he didn't go home and it happened at home and she took him, but because it happened on the same day as our visit? She also sent a complaint to you guys because I took a picture of James and John at James's hockey and he was holding a banana. Apparently I was gonna bind him up and constipate him. I should know better as a mother not to feed my kid banana. She was stalking us,
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
okay? She was stalking us. Well, it'll be in the file because I phoned you guys and complained about the stalking. Yeah, right? And in reality, it was I was eating the banana. John, hold Jenny's banana so I could take your picture with Daddy. And so he was holding my banana while I took my picture of him at James's hockey game on a Saturday visit. And I posted it so his family could see because none of his families has never been allowed to meet him. Right? So, bottom line is, she's whatever suits her and whatever doesn't suit James is what Frida insists on. It's never what's for John. There was no reason for at-home visits not to continue. If anything, she should have been happy that they weren't taking place at the center if she was so concerned about the tension between James and Christine. Christine didn't have to be there for the 15-minute drop-off or pickup. You know what I mean? And now she's insisting that's the only place it happens. Because it's not about what's in the best interest of John, it's what's in the worst interest for James. That's plain as day. I don't need a degree on my wall to figure that out, ladies. Come on. Okay? And you don't know me, but you can ask her. Well, you've just seen it. John is my side. Okay? And that's always been my side. There's been times at the Access Center, James is clawing out that door, she stomped out that door, and I'm standing there looking at the workers. Well, let's figure this out. Because these two can't pull their heads out of their asses. But now, the time has come. We are 6 years into this, ladies. And when we knew we couldn't represent ourselves again, I said to Mike, what's going to happen when she gets full control of John? And the visits. Everything that we have said she's going to do is going to happen. I said, you need proof of parent alienation? Let her get that final order in her hand, and then you'll see parent alienation to its finest. Because now that she has 100% control over the visits, let's see what she does with them. Let's just see how important the relationship between her son and his father really is to Miss Frida Brazo once she has control over when and where the visits take place.
That's what she tells
Let's see
you
how
guys.
accommodating she is. Yeah, and I said, so then what, Mike? When she refuses to allow James to have a safe place to visit his son, there there's parent alienation right there to its, then what, Mike? He said, Jennifer, let's see what happens when it happens.
And because I'm
It's
right,
happened.
he has
It's
called
happened.
me back in 6 months.
No, he's insisting that he speaks to your therapist, which according to our
He has
therapist
no
is
right
no right to do
To
that.
speak to my therapist.
Whether I'm on three-way or not.
That's with Veterans Affairs. That says
Well, you
nothing.
have to consent to it.
No, I don't have
No,
to.
you don't have to, but that's what I mean. That's
No,
like-
it's
And it
illegal
can't
for them to ask.
And it
You
can't be held
cannot
against
ask.
him if he refuses.
No.
But it's being held against him because he's refusing.
And legally, you
Okay.
can't even ask me.
According to, yeah.
Because
Um,
that shows bias.
You know, she has, in black and white, admitted to mental health issues and has sought therapy for it. Maybe we want to make sure that we're not throwing that in her face. We're not insisting
We are
that she
now.
go to a therapist.
We are now.
Well,
She
yeah,
needs mental
but
health.
we haven't.
Pure
And
narcissism.
I know for a fact that postpartum depression, it don't go away. Just because your kid's 6 years old doesn't mean it goes away. Not without the proper treatment. Okay? And for someone who denied it for so long, did she receive that proper treatment? But we're not,
You guys called me a liar to my face. Paul did, in my own yard.
Yeah.
It was November, and I had to call you people. Andon was what, 11 years old? 12 years old at the time? His dad was going through the same thing I went through after I got released from the Army. There's about a 3-month waiting period before you receive any money, and that form of money is in the form of an EI check, right? Until you start getting your pension coming in. It takes about 3 months for that. So they automatically put you on EI. You only get $500 every 2 weeks, just to get you through until your pension starts rolling in, and then you'll get your first pension check you get is usually backdated for those 3 months to help cover things up, and then boom, you're okay. He phoned her and said, I can't pay you for 3 months. I don't have the money. You're gonna have to wait for my pension, then I'll reimburse you for the last. She started grabbing his toys, his clothes, throwing them out the door, kicking a 9-year-old out of the house. I called you guys. Paul came, went into the house, talked to her for 5 minutes, came out to where I was in my garage, saw 2 empty beer bottles that have been there for probably months.
doesn't matter. You're legal to drink.
Yeah,
Can't be judged.
started grilling me, calling me a liar to my face, telling me I punched a hole in the wall. No,
Just punch a
that
hole in the
hole
wall. It's going to be
was this big because it was Andon's fist and it was this high off the ground.
exactly the whole still. Well, it's not there now. We just ran out of our house. But literally, it's a joke. When he told me this story, because I said, "What happened here?" and he's like, "Andon." And I was like, "Okay, it makes sense because for me to punch it, I have to go like crouch down or I have to go like that. Look at the size of my husband.
Why are you punching walls? He said. Why are you punching walls? Why are you lying to me? Why are you lying to me? No, I
Okay,
think you're
Paul
lying.
was-
I think you're a drinker. Look at all the look at this stuff here. Look at this stuff here. I think you're a drinker. Jesus Christ. I'm at that frickin' age now. I have 2 beer. I need a nap.
Yeah.
Utterly ridiculous. From day one. And then when she left, the day she left, like I was saying before, 3 times I had to call you people because she threatened to drive all of her children into traffic if I wasn't going to pay. 3 times. Once I called OPP, and they said, well, it's a child service matter, we'll call them. They called you? No. Obviously, James is lying.
We just don't get it because she's made so many bogus calls and reports about him or us to you guys, to the OPP, to investigate and done and realize like this is just craziness, blah 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 blah. Like, so has it occurred to anybody in your office that maybe she's not all she seems to be? Right? Like, yeah, she sucked as a
She
girlfriend.
stalked
like,
us.
It's just,
She stalked us so badly that we couldn't pull into a gas station in our hometown
got reported.
because she would pull
Yeah.
right in beside us
And
and
she'd
go,
say, get the fuck off the property. He's not allowed around me. Bitch, why are you driving from Petawawa with all those gas stations to the one in Chalk River? The only one in Chalk River where we live and have to get gas.
and as soon as we
Are you
roll
kidding?
into it, poof, she rolls up.
Like, come on. Seriously.
I report that.
Like,
You
can't
guys
just,
laughed at
You
me.
can't just pump your gas and move on. You can't just let us get our gas and move on. No, we have to backtrack down to Deep River to a gas station to get gas so we could go to Pembroke. How many gas stations she drive by to get to us in our hometown? Like, come on. Now here's another kicker. Before me and James were even dating, a friend of mine reported her to you guys for manhandling John on Halloween in his stroller. And then when she met James a few months later, and I said, be careful what you post on social media. We don't want the ex seeing anything, you know what I mean, using her. Something come up about the ex. The ex was mentioned, and she said, who's the ex? And I said, Frida Brazos. She said, who's that? So I brought up her picture, and my friend's color just went like, she's like, oh my God, me and my mom reported her on Halloween for manhandling John in her stroller. Are you kidding me?
Nothing was done.
Nothing was done. James wasn't
Absolutely
like
nothing.
nothing. But now it was done anonymously. But believe it, my friend's willing to get on any loud and proud to say what she's seen and witnessed on Halloween night. Her and her mother now. They did
Every
it
Saturday.
anonymously because Frida lived in this apartment complex. Like, what are they called? What, triplexes? You know, when you have 4 units per building, fourplex. Frida's one, and then it was my best friend. And like, I drop my best friend's daughter's the same age as Brooke. So of course they went through school together. They're in and we babysat her 7-year-old. Actually, she's only like a month and 2 days younger than John, and we babysat her 2 days a week. She stays overnight, and yeah, she would see going to and from, and oh, we were stalking her. My son lived in Petawawa, walked by Burnt Bridge to go to the bargain shop because he's 20-year-old living on a budget, so he'd go where it's cheap. And we happened to have a court date that day.
Oh.
And when we got to court,
Right.
her lawyer submitted that we were stalking her at work and blah, 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 blah. I had to actually tell my employer what was going on in my personal life because I was now being accused in court of stalking her when I was actually at work. You know how embarrassing that is? But that's what I mean by we can't come within 2 blocks of this place and the OPP are contacted.
Well, we're gonna get a knock on the door from cops.
Promise you that.
Oh yeah.
Promise
You're
you
damn
that.
right she saw it.
100%.
You're damn. It's 8 o'clock in the morning when we rolled by. How do you know she wasn't in the Canex getting a coffee? How do I know that? Because she lives just a block down the road over here.
We don't come on base. We don't come to Petawawa.
Well, I don't come to Petawawa because I'm afraid I bump into her. I can't go to McDonald's. What if I go in there and she's there? She's gonna cause such a big scene, lie about everything. About everything. Every Saturday.
It's another call to the police. It's another incident
About me,
that we
and then
have
I'm the
to
one that
defend.
looks like the bad guy.
Like, it's just,
Every Saturday, I used to tell her kids, Saturday, go phone your dad. Phone your dad. Tell him you love him. I knew the guy. I knew him in the army. Good guy. Good guy. Do you know how many times I've had to dodge coffee cups, plates, remote controls, cell phones that she threw at me? She used to tell me to go lay down in traffic and die. Why don't you just go kill yourself? She called in fake suicide attempts. All those things you read about me being suicidal, that's her calling in the cops after I tell her no, she's not getting any money. Because she
actually,
called daily. Have you ever tried mowing the lawn? In your yard? Listening to tunes? Smiling? And
Yeah,
15 armed guys come through the bush telling me to get down, roughing me up, because they got a phone call from my ex saying that all she says is, oh, he's ex-army, he has PTSD, he's gonna kill himself, and he has weapons. I don't own a goddamn weapon in my house. Not one. Not one.
paintball.
3 times she's done this. Luckily, the next 2 times after that, the cops got wind of it. She phoned the MPs, but they've already had to deal with her because I went off on Paul Henry in the MP office. And they followed me back to work and said, oh, you're pretty upset. We understand why you're upset. Nobody in this MP office likes this man. He's a con artist and a thief and a criminal. And yet, you guys hire him? You guys hire him? That is going to be explained. That is going to be explained big time. And not to me.
We've requested that you even just reach out to her ex to see a pattern of behavior here. It's not the
Nope.
first time she's left a baby daddy and has involved, CIS has had to get involved
Nope.
because of lack of visits and lack of being able to co-parent.
Nobody
There's a
cares that she
pattern.
has a record for lying in court because she tried to defraud somebody out of $9,000 and
Right.
she's admitted that. Nobody cares about that. I guess credibility doesn't, you guys don't know what that word means. You guys sure know what tyrant means, because that's how you guys are acting.
We requested that the ex be reached out to, that we look into the court perjury and all of that. Not because we're trying to nail her to some cross, but it's trying to show credibility on what he is saying and lack of on what she is saying. We're grasping, we're reaching, anything we can get to prove that he's not the big bad monster. The fact that you can't look at his affidavit and see any difference in 6 years should say a lot. The fact that hers changes every time, the fact that you don't even know that she's filed court papers against us until we let you know. Like Bobby and Becky were involved, visits were going great all of a sudden, and she's making them believe that she's on path with us, we're all working together as one big happy team, and next thing you know, we're getting papers that she's filing for sole custody and everything like that, and Bobby and Becky are like, I don't know, that was when Bobby ended up going to court with us. Because she blindsided them with these court papers, making them believe. And you know what? If you really sit back and if you went through the file with a fine-tooth comb, and I'll save you the trouble and just point it out, every time his visits with John have got to the point where you guys have made it clear to both her and us that when you go this long without any incidents, we're gonna look at extending the visits, start overnight visits, blah, 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 blah. Within a couple weeks of that deadline,
Done.
something happens. It stops, she refuses to pick him up. Last time, John started calling him James and telling him he didn't have a dad.
Last 2 visits I had.
Visitation
No, you're
center.
not my dad. I don't have a dad. Kept
And
calling
with
me
that
James.
said-
That was witnessed by
Yeah.
your worker,
Mhm.
and I asked for an investigation on that. Your worker who did the investigation, what was her name?
Becky.
Was it Becky?
Yeah.
Never even talked to the girl who was
Yeah.
who witnessed it
Because
personally.
I said, Becky,
Just read a report.
what did the worker
You don't
say
have
that was
follow-up
witnessing? She goes, well, no, I just read the file. How the hell do you do a thorough investigation and not speak to the one and only person that sees John in James's presence? That should have been the first and most extensive interview done for that final investigation.
We pulled out. John was at my house. In fact, one of the last visits. One time we pulled out. Have you ever been to my house?
I don't
No.
think so.
Do you know when you go
No,
drive through just before Deep River on the right hand side? There's
just
a
before
big.
the Deep River sign?
It's for the Deep River sign, or just after the Deep River sign. Isn't it? There's a big spruce building with a blue tin roof, M&J warehouse, right? That's where she parks in the parking lot. My driveway's exactly on the other side. I'm tucked back in the bush. You roll up, you stop, you look both ways. She was parked there. John looked over there. Oh, there's Mom. Sure as shit, she was sitting there waiting. One of the other visits, I was taking him home. He had so much fun. He said, Dad, can I come back tomorrow? I said, you sure can. All you gotta do is ask your mom. Oh no, Mom gets very mad at me when I go see my dad. I reported that to you. I got laughed at. You know what that lady who charged me with told me when I told her, why does she keep calling me and telling me she's gonna drive all of her children into traffic? And I quote, so none of you deadbeat dads will ever have to worry about fucking child support again. Do you want me to do that? That's what she threatened me with. And that worker who had me charged told me straight to my face, I'm sorry, Mr. Briss, but women don't do that. Mothers don't do that to their children.
Yeah, they do, because I almost killed my kid.
I sent her 15 articles of women driving their kids into rivers and shit and lakes and killing their kids.
Yeah.
But she told me that mothers don't do that. Not around here
I guess
anyway.
it's frustrating on his level because he's not being believed, and on my level, I'm the one that is up all night, every night during that time, because my husband's having nightmares of his kid being killed by the mother. Because that's how real it actually is.
Same
And that's
dream
how much
over and over.
truth
I
is
don't
actually
dream.
behind that statement she made. And her behavior was so off the wall and not what he fell in love with. Anything was possible. He never imagined he'd come home to a moving truck and be cleaned out, not even have a
It was a
plate to
plan
eat
from the
off of.
start. Get pregnant, that way she can make more money.
So
You take away my wages that goes against her child support, monthly child support. You take away my wages, her child support went up 800%. Plus, she can go to court and demand through lies and bullshit, that she can get maximum again. Through lies and bullshit. Well, she succeeded that. So not only is she getting
well, you just look at the last
800% more child support from the government, plus she has to get $630 some from me. Plus I have to pay I was in the Army for 11 years. My pension is this small. This small. If she was not working, we wouldn't be having a house. We wouldn't live. My little bit of I don't have $600 left to pay. When all my bills are paid and everything's paid, if I had to give her $600 a month, I'd have to borrow $200 from somebody. So that $400 I got left feeds us. That's it. And I haven't given her a dime because I can't. So now Fro's going to be charging me
Here's the thing.
on bullshit. And who's going to stop that? You guys? You guys have the authority to step in and say, whoa, this
It's
woman
not
has
like-
lied
it's
to
not
us
like
from
we
the
haven't
start.
We've offered money, but she's then, because he wasn't thinking, and he emailed about paying her, and there was a restraining order, so her response to that was getting arrested for contact and then throw in his face that he's never offered her money.
And tell the judge I've never offered her.
Never offered her money, but yet she had him arrested for offering her money in
And
reality.
yet,
Because
when I started my life investment fund, I got 60 grand tucked away, another 60 grand that I had tucked away.
always for John.
Always for John. Always for John. You look at the date I started that life investment fund in regards to this $60,000 that I got this $60,000 tied up in. It was 2 days. 2 days after she left. I guarantee you. Because I knew this shit was gonna happen. I knew this shit was gonna happen. And he's still got it. I'm willing to sign it over to her for life instead of until she turns 18. I'll sign it all to her. Just so I can see my goddamn son.
It shouldn't take money to see your son, but that's what it appears it's gonna have to take. Because if you look at the final custody order that was dropped, there is 75%, it's all financial. And then that little
Everything.
bit at the visit.
Because she's
that
a
she
tag
has to
chaser.
accommodate. But
She
in
wanted to
reality,
get
she
pregnant.
hasn't accommodated, she
Monica.
hasn't tried to make a relationship happen between her son and James. And in reality, the only ones that can make that happen is her and your agency. Because there was a restraining order, I think the time is up on that now, or should be very close.
Oh, we haven't had a restraining order against me in 2 years.
That court order has one on it,
No.
For restraining order for,
straight, against James for Frida.
with Frida.
Yeah,
Based on bullshit and lies.
or maybe because you called her a con artist in court, but the judge felt that.
She's a con artist and a thief. This was from the start. This is from the start. The day my son was born, it was not a week later that she barely wanted to have anything to do with my son. Nothing. Nothing. I get home from work at 4 o'clock. Here, you take him. 8 o'clock at night would come around. He'd go to bed. That's when the shit started getting thrown at me. This was a week after he was born. It went on for a year. A year. The last 6 months before she left, I had to sleep in my garage for fear. Out of fear because of her abuse towards me. Her oldest was aging out soon. Cole was aging out soon. She needed a second child to supplement that money she was already getting in. She's a con artist and a thief, should not even be around children. Any man does that kind of stuff, you would take the children away on them toot sweet. Toot sweet. But she's allowed to do whatever she wants. Whatever she wants, because she knows she can get away with it. She bragged to me about it. How she does this. And you guys laugh it
She
off.
was writing online about the money she was gonna get from her son's disability and how great it was gonna help her out,
Because she
And
needs
that's
money
how-
to
that's
finish
how
her
she
sleeve
does it.
tattoo.
Yeah.
To finish her sleeve tattoo. That's what she needs the money for. Not for John. For her fucking tattoos.
Yeah, she said about
Nobody's ever
$5,000
mentioned the fact that
marijuana.
before she even met me, there's people in town that used to go to her place and buy her kids ADD medicine from her. But nobody says that. Nobody looks into it. Everybody says, oh, Brits, you're full of shit. You're just loud and obnoxious. And because you're loud, 6 feet tall, and obnoxious, and obviously fucking smarter than us, we're not going to do a goddamn thing. We're not going to do a thing. We're going to get our panties in a twist, and our feelings are hurt, so you, my friend, have no rights because you hurt our feelings.
Also, it's been, basically your agency has had I don't know how to word it, but, we've been made to feel that we are incompetent, that we truly shouldn't be, or you guys truly wouldn't step up to the plate and fight for John's right to be part of our family unless we jump through all these hoops. Parenting courses, autism programs, that meeting was about parent and child and programs that we could go to. It was about information sessions for us to attend. No.
I told her to pound salt.
Yeah, no.
There's no reason for me to be there.
You want us to write a story about John and James and Frida. You want, there's all these hoops that you want us to jump through. But yet John has never been in an abusive home. John
He's
has
living
never
in one
been
now.
abused.
He's living in one now.
Yeah, but John, our home, there's never been, even with my children. And I've said from the very get when she put this autism, listen, we wouldn't be questioning it if everything she was saying wasn't happening around us. It was happening around us, but it's not. It's not.
Twice,
Okay.
witnesses during visits have said to me, I can understand. Bobby was one of them. I totally understand. Totally understand. Why you would question that? Because he acts totally different around you than he does with his mother. I have witnessed it, he said. Same with that other one.
So we're wondering how that is getting lost in translation. When we were first approached about taking a course with children with disabilities and this and that, I was very offended. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if you were in that meeting, but I have a niece right here. See my tattoo, wheelchair, Addie. Okay? You can't get any more disabled than my niece. God rest her soul. She passed in November. So, to continuously ask us to take courses to deal with children with disabilities, whatever it is, whatever, this and that, it's insulting and it needs to stop. I've managed to raise a 24-year-old and an almost 19-year-old without taking a parenting course. So that needs to stop.
I wasn't even given a chance.
If James and Frida need to do any course, it would be a co-parenting course that they are both mandated to take. That's that. Okay? Now all of a sudden, John is verbal. So he's high functioning now.
Now he's high.
Before he couldn't function in a room unless it was just his mother with him. And there couldn't be any noises around him. And he couldn't do this and he couldn't do that. But now he's high functioning. Why? Because she has pushed this on so long, he became verbal and intelligent. And the school and his report, she can't go against that.
His report card that we got,
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge section on special needs. Right? On these report cards. Huge section on special needs. Nothing is in those boxes. Nothing is regarding his autism or any special problems or anything. He gets along with kids. He's laughing and goofing around.
No IEPs. We have no IEPs. We didn't know. Well, that was the last one that we had. He's integrating well with kids.
But yet she still goes to court.
He can get this and that. Well, any little boy can. I raised a son he was on the high spectrum of ADHD. My son, he had the side disorders with OCD and Tourette's, all those other little side disorders you can get with ADHD. My son had. So again, do not speak to me about children with disabilities. It's insulting. It's insulting. Frida made a statement in an affidavit to court that I was aggressive. So I contacted Christine, because the only person who's ever come in contact with both me and Frida was the visitation center at that time. So where's she getting this information from?
Christine,
are you telling me?
I got emails at home.
No, I've never said no such thing. Well, I would hope not.
I got emails at home. I got the paperwork from you guys. You guys gave me 136 documents of papers that I requested. In those were emails from Nicole Dennison to the next worker saying, oh, be careful with him. He's got mental disabilities. He's got mental issues, clearly.
Yeah.
So obviously she's the expert.
So
there's emails from Christine to Frida, and they're talking like they're buddies, like they're just PMing each other, messing each other, LOL, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Signed it C, not Christine McGinnis, just C. Thanks, C. What?
That's
a level of professionalism.
Professional.
And I brought this to Jeff List. When I had my meeting with Jeff List, I brought that up. I said there needs to be a level of professionalism that is not happening. And you wonder why my husband thinks your agency's biased? It's because Christine and Frida are talking like drinking buddies. Let's think about it. That's how I email my buddy. That's how I email my friend. Actually, I have a little bit more courtesy and I actually put Jen. I don't just put my first initial.
Jeff needs to be suspended. Investigated on him. An investigation started on him. Nicole, Bobby, Becky, the one that that first worked with, the one that had me charged. I don't even know her
My
name. I don't even know
husband is
any of their names.
At least you two, because I'm assuming you're the boss ladies. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Girl power. My husband is owed the same kind of setting, but with every one of these workers who's let John down, to be sitting here and answering the questions that we are putting forth to you guys. Because you guys didn't have firsthand with John and James and Frida, but you are the bosses to the people who have. And to some of them who have stopped, interrupted, and been the reason why they're no longer in a relationship together. We can blame Frida all we want for not dropping John off at those visits for access, but the only person to blame is Christine McGinnis. She played God. And because of her one-day power trip, we're sitting in this room today. Because we haven't had regular visits that progressed any further until Bobby and Becky stepped in. And when it got within 2 to 3 weeks of it progressing out of the visitation center and us being able to bring John home, like that big plan that we did on that big old white piece of paper with our colored markers, and apparently they did it with Frida, and everybody had the same goals, and we were like, holy shit, did she get hit by a truck? Like, she's agreeing with us, this doesn't seem right. Well, lo and behold, we were right.
As soon as she agreed with us, she went to the
And then-
courthouse, got her
yeah.
royal fire papers for full custody.
And
She
then
lied to you people. What's the penalty for
Becky-
lying to a government
Becky
worker?
and Bobby were just as blindsided as us, because it wasn't the impression that they were being led to believe with Frida and what her end goal was, which was home visits, regular, consistent with James and James's family in Deep River. Well, within a few weeks of that, we got served papers, and John started telling James at the visits he didn't have a daddy and started calling him James.
But that's not parental alienation, I'm told by Bobby. Or
Right.
Mike. You were in the room with me when Mike said that's not parental alienation. What's the definition of parental alienation?
I'm a Frida Brazo. It is what it is. We are 6 years into this, and she has not budged on allowing him to meet any of James's family. Never mind me. Okay?
The very
His
first lie
grandmother,
she tells
his aunts, his uncles, all of his cousins. She refuses that. We request visits for those when they're in town. They come from Saskatchewan. She refuses that. Do you know that I am almost 5 years into a marriage and none of my family has met my stepson? I am from a broken home.
You ask
That
Frida
is not
how many
normal in
family
my
members
world.
that she could go see.
It is not.
That she has.
It's not.
She doesn't get along with her brother in Ottawa. She tried to steal $6,000 from him, apparently.
We ask that you reach out to him to see a pattern of character.
It's the only family she has. She doesn't have any friends because they know what she's like. Now they live in an apartment. They don't have a big yard to play in like I had at my place. I get a 70-foot batting cage, 4-wheel drive, remote control cars for my son. Speaking of which, I'm gonna give Paul a call see if they have trucks.
Sorry, this is work. I'm not being rude.
So, and yet, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. If my nightmares about my son don't keep me up, which they do, and it's all the same dream every time. Frida's parked in my driveway, she's in the passenger seat, John's in the back, she's telling me to get in. I'm telling John to get out. Get out, because she phones and says, if you don't start paying me, I'm gonna run all my kids into traffic, and then none of you deadbeat dads will ever have to worry about money again. Is that what you want? I phoned that in 6 years ago. 5 years ago, I phoned that in to you people. Please help! I'm scared. No, Mr. Briggs.
Sorry, he gets loud. I cry when I get frustrated.
No, Mr. Briggs. Mothers don't do that kind of thing to their children. And this is your social worker.
Okay, so
This is the. I'm gonna speak now for a while, please, Jen, because this is your social worker. This is what they do. This is what they're trained to do. To show bias automatically. Any one of you social workers that even attempt to show any type of bias needs to be suspended immediately. Immediately. There's a 2-paragraph section in your code of ethics about bias, about rights, about understanding the rights of parenting, of parents. and children. They don't really talk much about the rights of parents, but they sure as fuck talk about the rights of the children. And the fact that they need to have both parents. Need to have both parents. And you were supposed to show no bias to make that happen. Do what you can to make that happen. Legally, you have to. You have to. It's your job. If you don't do those things, that shows bias towards me, that's discrimination towards me or anybody else you don't do it to. And that breaks my rights under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But nobody has the balls to say this shit to you guys except for me. 6 years, 53 hours total time with my son. As soon as a woman lies to you about their other partner, or a man lies to you about their other partner, man or woman, as soon as they lie to child services and you guys know about it, you have to legally call him out or her out on that, because that's the law. That is the law. Public people, private citizens cannot lie to a government official. You've signed that paperwork with the CEWS or CSW stating that you will follow that oath. In that oath, it states basically those goddamn same words. And do you know the penalties? What happens to social workers when they break the law? Private citizens, they break the law, they get 6 months to 2 years jail. That same charge for a social worker is up to 5 years, no matter what it is. It's always double. Always double for social workers. Because you guys have an obligation to us, the public, non-profit, publicly funded organization. You cannot take away a man's rights. You can't take away a woman's rights.
Certainly not a child's.
And certainly not a child. Because you people are upset because I get like this when I talk to you? Really? You not heard of freedom of speech? You're a public worker. Your rights go out the fucking window as soon as you go out the door.
I'm not upset that you're talking like this because I understand.
You do!
I do. I understand that you're upset. I don't understand everything that you've gone through, and I can't begin to.
No.
Because you
Nobody
can't.
can.
Nobody can,
Nobody
because
can.
it's
No,
so
we can't even.
unbelievably
Unreal.
ridiculous
I hear you. Yes.
that's why I get laughed at. No, you weren't abused. Look at you, you're 6 feet tall. Jesus Christ, are you kidding me?
I know what my husband's saying sounds harsh, but for 5 years we've allowed you the time and the respect to do things for the best interests of John. And now he's just turned 7, and our new therapist has made our eyes open to quite a bit of the rights and the wrongs that have been done in the last so many years. So yeah, if we need to pull out what he's pulling out today and saying, hey people, you work for me, you work for my son, like enough is enough.
I've been saying that since day one.
Enough is enough.
This is not for me, this is for John. I want
Yeah.
to see my son, yes, but he also wants to see his dad. Are you kidding me? I don't give a shit if he is 1 year old. Just over 1 year old. No!
Because we know where this is gonna end up, right? You know the statistics on children from a broken home, children who are denied one parent or the other, whether it's their mother
Especially
or their father.
alienated.
Like we're talking like he's running the risk now of being an uncontrolled teen, drug addiction, alcoholism.
Problems at school, problems at home,
You
problems.
know what I mean?
with
Breaking
authority.
the law. Like thank God he's not a girl, so we don't have to worry about cheating pregnancy, but he could become a dad early. You know, like we it's so frustrating for us because we can't prevent that from happening. When my daughter was abused, for example, I did what I had to do to prevent her from becoming promiscuous, from doing all the things that children of sexual abuse can do without the proper treatment and help from their parents. I did it. Sat in that Phoenix Center an hour a week for 2 years. She wrote her, we did it. We did it all. And guess what? She's none of the above. We are not given that right for John. We can't help him. You cannot tell me that this little boy on Father's Day at school, we know he's talked about because we've been lucky enough to be involved sometimes around Father's Day, and he has received what John's made at school. Okay? That is heartbreaking. It needs to stop. You have the right, you have the power to show up at her house and ask her these hard questions. Ask her these hard questions. I've asked you before to show up at her house and ask her these hard questions. Frida, why was it for the first couple of years you denied postpartum depression, but when the lawyer came in, you're saying that you had it? Different things like this. Frida, you refused to bring John to a drop-off to go to his home access visits with James, but now all you want to do is force him into that tension, into that anxiety-fueled room. Why is that, Frida? How is that for the best interest of John?
Why did you
Look
tell
her
the
in the
court?
eyes and say that.
Why did
Watch
you
her
tell the
struggle.
court? He canceled 12 visits. On record, we don't
Yeah.
have any visits
Yeah,
made.
Frida.
Why are you lying to the court?
Yeah.
We are obligated
Yeah.
to have you charged for lying to a judge. We had witnesses in the courtroom. You made your lawyer lie straight to the judge. You do realize on the bottom of those affidavits where it's signed, what does it say? Everything I have wrote here on this affidavit is deemed true. And if not, I could be subject to penalty this, penalty that, penalty that. On every affidavit, she signed swearing that stuff's true.
We'll put it this way, the OPP have informed her, because I contacted her about her lying about me in court. She was making some pretty serious allegations against me, stalking and this and that. And when the OPP contacted her, she said to them that, oh, my lawyer misunderstood what I said. But she didn't correct him. She let him continue. She didn't tug on his sleeve and be like, Duncan, that's wrong, that's not what I meant. No, she let the court put that on record.
She hasn't spoken one
Okay.
word in court.
And they
Always
have
goes
told
to the
her,
lawyer.
they've said to her, because my OPP contacted my place of employment and confirmed that I was at work and not stalking Frida outside of Burnt Bridge before court. Okay? And they told her then, Miss Brazo, you need to watch what your lawyer's saying on your behalf in court because you could be facing charges. And I can almost guarantee you that Mrs. Britz will proceed with charges the next time she's lied about in court law. Okay? How hard is it to ask one of you guys, for John's sake, Frida,
Call her out.
why are you lying in court about James's relationship with John? Why are you lying about,
What?
she's lying, she's filling her head with all these lies about me? No wonder she don't want me around her kid.
She's lying in court. Anytime you lie in court, that makes it a way that I cannot see my son.
Mm-hmm.
That is a form of alienating my son against me. The first time I call you and say, driving my kid home, he asked me if he could come over tomorrow. I said, you sure can, buddy, but you have to ask your mother first. Oh no. Mom gets very mad at me when I go see my dad. That is alienation.
Yeah, and nothing's done about that. We'll report it. But we have been asked numerous times. So what happens if John is in your presence? You're so mad at Frida. What do you think and if he talks about his mom, what do you think you would say? Your agency said that. Last week?
I've said
It
the
was
same
said-
thing
it was said
every
to us
time.
last week. So how do you think you'll act around John?
I said the same thing
Stop
every time.
worrying about how we might act and start focusing on the last 6 years of how she's been acting. That's where confusion lies with me.
I've said I'll
We
tell
brought
John the
forth
exact
two
same thing
things
that
that John has
I
said
told
about
him at the
James.
visitation center.
Yeah.
Look, your mother loves you very much. I love you very much. Your mother's just pretty upset with Dad right now.
James
That's it.
He's put the blame on himself, not the child, as it should be in a broken home. Never make the child feel like they're the one to blame. And that's what my husband did.
But that's bad. Because I talked about his mother. That's what I got in shit for from your agency. You can't talk about his mother. You can't talk about John's mom like that in front of him. Fuck you, I can't.
And the hoops that you want my husband to go through, do you go door to door and see certificates from all these completed courses that everyone has to take to be a parent? If you have no concerns in regards to us raising children in our home, and you don't, you've said that, we have numerous letters.
Oh,
we've done
Nicole
numerous
does.
calls.
As soon as she found out that I had a 15-year-old when Brooke was 15, when they moved in, as soon as they found out I had a teenager living in my house, oh, you guys came to my door unannounced,
Yeah.
checked everything out.
No, they told me, and I freaked out because I'm like, listen, people, you're really pissing me off. If you think my child's being hurt, don't give the person a heads up, you're on the way.
Brooke looked at Nicole and told her to fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. There's nothing going on here.
And my daughter's been here since she's been almost 12, so why are you concerned now at almost 15?
I was friends with Brooke for a year before I even met her.
Yeah.
Because I taught her baseball. I knew who she was. I see her out at a friend's place. Bring your glove. Did you get your glove? Let's go have a catch. Then I coached her baseball. I knew PJ, her husband, before, her friend before, a year before that I met Jen. Never met Jen. I'm still friends with PJ, and if PJ would call you right now and say, look, I need a place to crash. Damn right, you're coming to my place.
He has before.
Beer in
He's
the beer
been with us
fridge.
for weeks with him and his girlfriend, the one that they.
But I'm the bad guy? I'm the bad guy? I still tell Brooke every Saturday, give your dad a call. All the time. Well, he doesn't call me back. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just text him. Hey dad, thinking about you, love you. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do.
Like my ex.
That's all I want.
Half the size of James.
I want.
Has phoned James and said, listen, I'm fighting with Jessica. She's kicked me
Yeah.
out. Can me and my dog.
Do you
come
think
live in
Jen
your
will
place?"
mind? Do you think Jen will mind? I said, no. She won't.
And he did. For almost a month, he lived in the agenda. It's like a man cave, but it's for me, so it's
It's
a
my
agenda.
man cave. She goes in, she calls it Jen.
And yeah, so clearly he's not a big bad monster and hard to get along with, or even hard to co-parent with, because essentially that's what he's been doing since he's been in a relationship with me. He's the only man I've allowed to step into that role besides my actual children's father. Okay? And me and the children's dad are like best friends. When he gave birth to that second baby, first people he called was me and James at 10 to 12 at night. She's here, it's, this is how much you weigh, blah, blah, blah. And, so why can't those characteristics, why are they not able to shine through with my husband? Why is all I'm seeing being reflected onto my husband is his past and his behavior and his tone of his voice, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I've never had a worker say to me, well, Jen, I'm looking through the file and, James does some pretty outstanding things. He coaches Little League. You guys babysit a 7-year-old every week. He gets along great with your children's father. I've never
He's in
heard
the community
any
constantly
positive
with the Legion,
feedback.
volunteering for the
Yeah.
Legion, helping kids out any way I can,
Yeah.
doing what I can.
Yeah.
I put up a 70-foot batting cage for everybody in the area.
Yeah.
Adults, you come want to use my batting cage, that'll be a 6-pack of beer for my beer fridge.
Yeah.
Kids play free.
Yeah, there's never any positive feedback about James. I have heard how well Frida is doing and wants to, she just really wants John and his dad to be together and she's willing to do whatever she can. Like, I'm hearing all kinds of
Heard
positive
that
about
speaks for you
Frida,
guys a lot.
but I've never heard anything positive come back to me about my husband. And so it makes me think, they really don't see good in him because you've not taken any kind of effort in making these visits happen.
All because they
You
got their
have-
feelings
The court has even said visits need to be brought forth through your agency.
Yeah.
Because there's clearly no way we can just
That was
email
2
Frida
years
and
ago.
be like, see you Friday at 6 at
That was 2 years ago. A year
know
and a
what I
half
mean?
ago that came out.
But because we haven't done a story, Mike and Becky were refusing to move forward. And we've told them, we're not doing a story. We're not going to lie to John. We're not lying to John. I never lied to my children about our separation. Yes, there's times where instead of lying, I've said, adult conversation, maybe someday. You know what I mean? Like, my daughter's 18, my son's 24, and they just found out within the last year about their father's alcoholism issues and drug issues. They grew up not having a fucking clue about that. Because I know how to co-parent, and I know how to be a mother who doesn't taint their children against their father. And my children have never once, and keep in mind, he has kidnapped them and taken them out of province. He has done so much cocaine, he has no myrtle cartridge in his nose. Nothing, not one bad thing has ever been spoken to my children about their father.
And I don't even pop aspirin.
Because I don't parent alienate. I don't try to withhold my children from him, except for the last 2 years. But I've also made it possible to accommodate visits and time spent in my home or the community for them. But because that home's a violent home, okay, that's how co-parenting needs to be done. This has nothing to do with James or Frida. It only has to do with John. And if John could be sitting here, he would tell you he wants to be with his dad. He wants to see his dad. He loves his dad. I'd like to think that. Don't know where it's gotten to in the last 2 years though, honestly. Because the last couple of visits, when he started calling him James and saying he didn't have a dad, yeah, James had to stop calling him.
He wouldn't even go near me.
James
I'd
would no longer do
something.
visits there. And all we wanted was for you guys to provide a safe, healthy environment for him to visit or with support people. But you've allowed her the right to dictate when and where and how they visit. And all I've been asking for 2 years is somebody to sit in front of that woman and say, Frida, I'm looking at the file and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't appear you're looking out for the best interests of John. You stopped at home visits because you didn't want them, James and Christine, to possibly see each other for 15 minutes, okay, in passing. But now you are refusing to allow that child to visit his father
All
anywhere
because
else.
she found out that I don't wanna go to the visitation center, so now she says, well, we have to go there.
That is not looking out for the best interest of the child. It's looking out for the worst interest of the parent. And
That's
in
the
turn,
norm.
is parent alienation. Because if she knows James can't go there, who looks like the deadbeat loser parent?
Me,
James.
and she explains that every time she goes
John
to
has
court.
no idea.
I just wanna go back and answer the question you asked about, does anyone in the agency talk about the good things of James? And I have some of the things exactly you're talking about. Mike talks about it. There's lots of the good things.
Mike can kick rocks, he's done, he's lied to me,
I wanna hear what he
lied
has
to
to
me
say though.
enough.
I wanna hear what he has to say though.
Yeah, what you said about James's strength and community, about the visits. So I think there's something, like, obviously if you're not hearing the good, then we need to look at that.
All
I
this
guess
needs to be put in a letter to the court, because everything that my ex has said is a lie, and it's listing me in a courtroom, in a court of law, that I am that person, which is 100% untrue. Look me in the eyes and tell me I'm lying to you.
But
100%.
Mike is also full of.
When I worked at my job, I could not tell a lie. I had to tell the truth. If I told a lie or made something up in one of my intelligence reports, people die. Things don't happen.
I want to go back to, like, because I think part of the thing with and the work with Mike and Becky was really around trying to, when you talk about co-parenting, and I know it didn't work. I'm like, you wanted to add something about Mike, like
Yeah, he his credibility. Like, a lot of what he's saying now falls on deaf ears because he hasn't come through for John like he said he would. Because when that court order, when we received it in the mail, and I phoned him, and I was crying, and I was upset. Oh my God, she's got control. Mike, we're never gonna see John. You know what I mean? Like this is it. Like, what am I gonna do? How do I get my husband through this? He's like, no, Jennifer, no. Yeah, Mike. Everything that we said was gonna happen 5 years ago is now here. Today's your day. Today is the day. She has control. So you thought she wouldn't let us in his life before? Just watch what she's gonna do now. And I said, you want to see parent alienation? You need that hard proof because you guys seem to think that there's no alienation going on here. Like, none? You're going to see it now, buddy. He goes, no, Jennifer, let's just wait it out and see what she does. I said, okay. So when she decides that she still ain't going to allow James to have a safe, healthy place for John and him to have visits, like at our house, I don't care if it's supervised. If he's in freaking kindergarten, if he's got to miss a half a day of school, let him miss a half a day of school. It's optional most times in most schools for half days. And I said, then what, Mike? Then what? When you have clear alienation in front of you by a mother refusing to allow a safe environment for visits to happen, then what? He goes, well, we'll just have to see when that happens. It's been happening for almost 2
So what
years,
happens?
Mike. Now
We've
what?
called him out on it. We've
Now
asked him
what?
to do something. Now he avoids us. He gives us 2
Now it's all
emails
about
in 6
story
months.
and
He doesn't contact us. You guys have blocked my email. And since when is it legal for a public service personnel from the government, public service agency is allowed to deny service? That's denying me service. You look at the Canadian Charter of Rights and look up denial of service from a government agency, and you find out what the penalty for that is.
I don't care if you send me 200 emails a day. Don't read them. Kind of like on Facebook. I'm in the admin of the Chief River discussion group. There's like almost 3,500 people. Guess what? You don't like something? Keep scrolling. You don't want to hear what James has to say in his emails? Don't read it.
And then I have
It's
your
not like you're
secretary
reading, it's not
lying
like
to
you
me.
ever were really reading
And I have
it.
your secretary lying to me, say, sorry, we don't email anything out of the office. We haven't done that for a while. My mother's in charge of the computers around here. We don't let any emails go out of the office. What? Since when? Mike just emailed my wife not 2 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I'll check on that. There is a.
That's what makes me so mad. That's what makes me so upset, is that I bust you guys on your bullshit and how you treat me and your wrongs and shit. And as soon as I say no, you're wrong, your ego gets the best of you. Every one of you, your fucking ego gets the best of you, and that's what, and then all of a sudden here I am, getting mad, and you guys deny, nope, and then you guys just totally don't do anything. You just totally ignore. Like, who gives a shit about him? So that means if you say who gives a shit about me, you might as well say who gives a shit about my son.
We're not here because we want to ignore you.
Why did it take 6 years?
No, I'm kind of glad it took 6 years because we better start seeing results. Now there's no more waiting. Now there's no more let's do an investigation. Now there's no more let's do these pretty little charts with all the different colored markers they show up at our house with. Now there's this. No, there's no story, there's no nothing. It is what it is, people. She is withholding his son from him. She's been doing it for 6 years. And she's been doing it because she's been enabled to do it. Being enabled by your agency, by the visitation center, by everybody else.
By lying to court,
Okay?
by lying to
Enough's
you,
enough.
by lying to
It's today.
Child's Advocate.
The Frida show ends today, and the John show starts. Okay? You don't want to do what's in the best interest of James? Don't. You don't.
You
wanna
guys don't even know where she lives anymore. You don't.
do you?
Right now, I don't know where she is.
Because she's probably gone. It's been 1.5 years. It would not surprise me
From what
that
we
she's
heard,
gone.
her son Andon, who still lives at home, has changed schools. So we don't even know if she's still in. I mean,
Why did he change schools? Was there a disciplinary problem? Did he act up? Well, why? Check his report card. That poor kid's going to be in jail by the time he's 18. I guarantee it. There's another Crown Ward for
well,
you.
we asked over a week ago for a safety check on John.
Don't even know if that was done.
Still waiting. Still waiting.
Like, nowhere does it say that he's having any issues with his report card. He gets along with his classmates, he's laughing, he always participates, etc., etc., etc. Totally goes against everything that she says about autism. Everything. And
She
why
even
can't
went so
I phone the school and ask to see the teacher without threat of being arrested?
I've asked Mike almost a year ago, set that up, set the appointments up with the school and Chio and all that.
Yeah.
He offered to go with us, so that was great. You know what I mean? To be that kind of buffer in the middle. But we still haven't gotten, he's like, well, you guys call. No, we can't just
No,
call.
we
Like,
can't.
let's be real here. Like, Frida shows up to pick up John at school and they're like, oh, John's dad called and he's going to stop in tomorrow to talk to us.
Boom, there's cops at my door because she will phone and make up some story about what happened, and then I go to jail.
You know, so I said to Mike, okay, well, get a hold of Frida or whoever, I forget who it was at the time, we'll get a hold of her, let her know that we're meeting with the school and meeting with Chio. We don't want this to blindside her. We want her to know this is happening. Because we don't need no bullshit cops showing up and blah, 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 blah. We don't need that.
And where's Mike? Has he set anything up yet? We talked about that 1.5 years ago, didn't we? With Mike, when we did that, when we were at the visitation center upstairs.
Is what I said on the riverbank that day with Becky. These are things we all talk. This is what we always talked about with Becky. Like, this is not like we're bringing this forth for the first time, James. You know that.
None of this stuff
We've
is.
been
This
bringing
has
light.
all been repeated over and over and over and over and over again to every worker. And every worker that I've had, they've gotten their feelings hurt. They've been caught in a lie. They refuse to work. I ask for somebody else. I gotta go through the same shit over again 6, 7 different fucking times. And why? Because you people get your feelings hurt? If you take a job in the public sector and your feelings get hurt and you decide to not do your job for the public, you should be fired immediately. Feelings don't override my rights. This is absolutely sick to my stomach that you guys think that this is okay and this is the norm on what people do around here, how things are done. So you're telling me that it's okay that you guys break the law constantly because we can't, because nobody calls us out on it, nobody busts us on it, nobody does any of that. When you see me standing in front of your building videotaping everybody that's coming in and out of your building, what are you guys gonna do? What's gonna happen? Your lobby's open to the public, right?
It's a public building.
Right, I can walk right into that place with a camera and film it. Make sure you guys are doing your goddamn job right. Do you understand that?
No,
And I can stand there and do whatever I want as long as I'm filming. I'm not loitering. Loitering means you're not doing anything. I'm actually doing something. I am there making sure my fucking tax dollars are going to where they're supposed to be fucking going.
Well, they're not, James.
No, they're not. They're not. You guys can call the
Why
cops
is
all
it
you
that
want,
your
and they'll say
agency
he's in
can't
public.
accommodate a visit at home?
Because Frida says
I
no.
want their answer.
So generally speaking, we would do like for a meeting for us, when we do a complaint meeting, we usually do it in the office.
No, I'm talking about James's visits with John.
So, like his access visits?
Like for a safe place for him to visit John, that's not in an institution. Like, let's be honest, their relationship is institutionalized. John thinks James lives at the visitation center. How sad
He
is
thinks
that?
I live at the visitation center. That's where he thought.
Daddy's house. Are you kidding me?
That's not alienation. The child starts
That's
thinking
obviously
that.
never been. She's even referred to that as James being the train guy.
Just a guy who
Why is
takes
she
the
not
train.
correcting that? That should have been a red flag to your agency, because it was one thing that stood out to me as a red flag. When in her affidavit, she's thinking she's getting a good dig in and making James look bad, saying that John calls him the train guy because they play with trains at the visitation center. When in reality, Frida, that should have been corrected the first time it came out of his mouth, and it never be repeated again from him. Had you corrected and said, "No, buddy, that's Daddy. He loves you."
So the last visits that you had were at home.
No,
No.
they're at the visitation.
After they stopped at home, I met with you and a couple other people.
And only you, no support. person.
No support.
No support person. Just the visitation worker who was there to supervise.
Like, it is so bad that trying to arrange a Thanksgiving visit, I was like, okay, how about I sit in a church parking lot, Mike, so James knows that I'm within a block. You know what I mean? Like, that knows that I'm with arm's reach from him. What? How about you just show up at Frida's fucking house and you say, "This isn't going on too long, Frida, unless you're willing to face charges and the accusations in court, unless you're willing for our legal team, because you have the right to do it, to take her to court for being an unfit mother, because this is completely unfit, okay? And say, Frida, visits are gonna start again with James and John. They're gonna take place at his home on Fridays from 4 until 6.
A letter has to be written to the court, because I cannot go through
No,
the rest of my life
Do you know what
with
I'm
this
saying?
shit hanging over me.
I'm just throwing
Someone
this out.
needs
Yeah.
to step up to the goddamn plate and say, "Look, Your Honor, she has lied to us from day one. She has lied to the police from day one.
Mhm.
Obviously, she's lying to you. Check the affidavit."
Your Honor, we understand that Mr. Brits has a very powerful demeanor and voice. We have also witnessed that, but we have no concerns in regards to his parenting or the safety of any children in his care. Anything at all. And always been denied.
Always.
Always been
Always.
denied
Nope.
by your agency.
Nope.
But yet she had submitted a letter from Lindsay or Nicole or whoever it was stating he had mental illness, and now we gotta defend a letter that your agency wrote to her, but yet you
On
won't write
false
one to us.
claims.
You won't write one on behalf of us that, yes, we've received Mr. Brits' mental health assessment from the military, there doesn't seem to be any issues, but anything. Like,
You know what
just
your
anything.
lawyers told me when I handed them that paperwork with that email saying that I have mental health, that Nicole wrote to another coworker in the office saying that I have mental health issues? After Nicole handed in her affidavit when I tried suing her, after her affidavit said at no time did I ever claim that Mr. Brits had a mental health issue. That's what her claim on the affidavit was. Well, there's her
If
email
we
right
had
there.
the
I
money-
showed it to the judge. I showed it to his lawyer, to her lawyer. The judge says, "Okay, this looks pretty good. You need to gather as much paperwork as you can to give it to Nicole's lawyer. You lawyers, you do the same and give it to James because he's representing himself. And we'll set a date. You'll get notified, blah, blah, blah." Wow. Nicole's freaking out. We get out of the courtroom. Her lawyer comes up to me. Your organization's lawyers came up to me and said, "You better get a lawyer because that's the only fucking people we're going to talk to." I called them twice. As soon as they find out it was me, I said, "I need your facts. I have more stuff to give you in regards to evidence that Nicole Dennison lied on her affidavit."
Tell them how when we received the papers, what they were like.
That's not the insurance.
What papers?
Remember they sent us some papers and they were all in different orders?
Oh, and all the papers that I
Yeah.
got
This is the best
were
part.
all in different orders.
Like, they didn't come like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was
No.
just, it was,
one,
everything was
page
shuffled.
27, page 56, 132, page 3. That's the order the pages were in. Let's fuck with Mr. Brits. Wouldn't this be fun?
It was ridiculous.
It was sickening.
It was
is what
ridiculous.
was. That's when, like, I had always been, like, not so towards you guys. But when I seen that paperwork come in that order and that fashion and his treatment from that
First time
lawyer,
it cost me
I
nothing.
thought, wow
First time it
things,
cost
they
me
really
nothing to
don't
get
like.
that paperwork. You guys said, yep, no problem, you have the right for that stuff, we'll get it to you, no problems. Second time I asked for it, I was told I owe $300.
No, it was for something.
400
Yeah, it was based on the amount.
paperwork,
Because it was.
on the amount of
every
papers,
email,
70 some
this and
papers, $400 they told me.
that. And I
Was
said,
that, sorry, was that through?
the visitation center, and I said, well, we don't want.
Okay, so sorry, can I just, and I know it's confusing, so like through, child welfare, like that would have been your disclosure, right, which
Yeah.
would have cost nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's
Yeah.
our lens.
Yeah.
So under May, so like under your access, it's a different,
You can't charge anybody for paperwork that is used by a public government office. All one has to do is go to your office, ask for a simple public records request, and you have to give them that information.
I'm just, was this with the Nicole matter or this?
No, this
No,
was
this
visitation.
topic.
We wanted to,
Visitation.
because it would have proven that we didn't cancel, that we didn't, and I said, well,
You
we
cannot
don't
charge
want every
people for
little
that
email.
paperwork.
We just want visitation, like just
Yeah.
visitation.
I'm just trying to explain the system
Yeah.
different, like, because in child welfare, you would, like, you were at.
Yes,
somebody
we know
attempted
that,
to charge
yes.
you $300 in child welfare, I'm not aware of that.
You can't charge nothing.
No, but
You
no,
can't charge anything.
Yeah, no.
Not a thing. Not even 25 cents a copy. You can't.
Yeah.
It's public. It's a matter of, it's public records. You work for the public. They're public records.
Because we pay.
I can phone
the
your
seven-
office right now and say, I want exactly how much money you make, and I want exactly how much you get for your pension, what you put in your pension every year. And I can get that. Because it's a matter of public record. You work for the public.
Put it this way,
Public?
Yeah, ours,
First time-
Private.
disclosed.
the first time we went to court and we had the visitation file, do you remember? We got it, we got a copy, they gave us a copy for us, lawyers, copy for Frida. And when James presented it to the judge, Frida's lawyer didn't even know that we had copies of it. She didn't give her lawyer. You know what I mean? Like that's
He
how-
got it thrown out because he didn't have a copy of it. Is that the time?
No.
There's lots of stuff that he got.
No, but that just shows that because a lot of that is helpful for James. It shows his consistency. It showed that there was, you know what I mean? And she refused to present that, give that to her lawyer. So I mean, I'm sure it didn't look good on her, but in the end, it just shows that Frida's only presenting what's best for Frida, not what's best for John, not what's in the best interest of father and son. It's only what's in the best interest of Frida.
I said, ding
And
dong.
that file would have shown, the first 75 pages of that file is James begging them to contact Frida and force her into doing the intake so visits could start. She knew that wouldn't look good for her. So that's an example of when it doesn't suit Frida's needs, Frida wants no part of it.
She's a con artist and a thief.
100%.
She should not be around children, period. I've said that from day one. Because everybody knows. Everybody sees the red flags. You got taken by a tag chaser. Someone who just gets pregnant by military guys. And tells them to fuck off just so they can get their pension.
She sold her first boyfriend's house when he was overseas. So I mean, it shows character.
She bought a house when he was overseas. Under his name. That same house, I had to get her out of debt. Because she wasn't making her payments. They were going to take her house away, her car away. I had to get a $65,000 loan, pay off $5-6 grand of my stuff, and pay off $60,000 worth of her stuff. That wasn't mentioned in court. She denied it. But yet her last affidavit, if you look at it, you guys have a copy of it. I sent it to you. It states yes at the last page. Yes, there was about $60,000 in the bill that we got a loan for. You? I got a loan for it. I put my name on your house, on your mortgage, because they would not allow me to take that loan unless I put my name on her mortgage.
She took both vehicles. He had to lease a car. Like it
She
just,
took
it's
both
never ending.
vehicles.
You know
The
what
truck.
I mean? And I know that like because we've heard it before. Oh, the past. Oh, the past. Oh, the past. Or well, you know, it's kind of shows a pattern of behavior. It kind of shows like
I'll hear it one
lack
more
of
time.
conscience.
We gotta forget
Lack
about
of
the
morals.
past from you guys.
But no. Because if it wasn't for the past, we wouldn't be sitting in this room right now. So we need not forget about the past.
We
Okay?
need to use the
Because you
past.
can't tell me when
to
James
fix the
Britz,
future.
when Britz is said in your office, you can't tell me everyone's first thoughts aren't going to the past.
everybody's first thoughts are,
When you hear
they're,
Brits,
oh,
you're not
this
going,
guy.
yeah, I
Oh,
heard
this
he's been
guy.
doing really well. He's been coaching Little League, and I hear he's, you know what I mean? Those aren't the first thoughts when the name Brits is brought up in your office. I'm not an idiot, okay? Because if I was in your shoes, it would be my first thought. Let's be honest. Kind of like the whole taking a photo thing. If it had been him, there'd been a full investigation. But because it was Frida, it was kind of fluffed off when police contacted your office. You know, like, let's be real. I know you'll never admit it, but we all know in our heart of hearts that when your agency received that phone call, whatever, had it been James,
That last meeting we had with Mike, a year and a half ago, or however long it was at the visitation center, I told you this exact same thing was gonna happen.
Mhm.
I told you we'd probably sit here 2 years from now, doing this same thing over again, because nothing's getting done. I know for a fact I said that. I'm saying the exact same stuff today that I said 2 years ago in that meeting. Now there's just more stuff, a little bit more stuff than what Frida's done.
well, I'm just wondering when James stopped, when he said, I can't do these visits anymore. Like, my son is not calling me James, he's calling me James. He said he doesn't have a dad. I don't have any support in there. I can't do this anymore. Mentally, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this to John. I can't put John in this toxic environment anymore for visits. Why wasn't your agency's first response, okay, we'll contact Frida. Visits will start taking in a safe place of your choosing, James.
No, but instead I was told the file's done, fuck off.
Why did nobody step up and try to mediate a better place for visits, try to enforce, and as your positions, just say, well, no, Frida, this is when the visits are gonna be. Like, it's mind-boggling to me that nobody from your agency that is paid to do that didn't do it. Why didn't you try to come up with a better? No, the only solution was to let's write a story, let's do some charts.
Every one of your
Yeah.
social workers gets paid on a salary. They don't get paid an hourly wage, correct?
Mhm.
It's a salary wage. There's no hourly wage. There's no overtime,
No.
right?
Yeah, so
You
these
get paid by the hour?
No.
No, you don't get
I have a
paid
friend
by the
in
hour.
the
We
agency.
don't get paid by it.
No, they
No,
don't.
you don't.
I have a
Neither
friend
does
that works with them.
Mike. Neither does Nicole. Neither does the secretary, for fuck's sake.
Actually,
It's
two
just-
friends.
You guys, that's all you care about.
But I'm
You
not-
do as little as you fucking can that you can get away with, and you still get that
Well, and I had
paycheck.
said to my friend, these end of day phone calls are really pissing us off.
Oh my God.
Because I know where my mind's at the last hour to two of my work day. And
And on
I'm
Friday.
not focused. I'm not focused.
Friday,
my
4
day's
o'clock.
my day's basically done. You know what I mean? So these 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock phone calls at the end of the day or the end of no. If you're gonna call us at 3 on a Friday or 3 of any day, no. Wait till the next day, first thing, get in, get settled, and give us a call. Because then we know you're attentive. Then we know you're actually listening. Then we know we're worth more than the end of day, last minute phone call. And it's
Every
always,
time.
and I have always requested, not so much now because Brooke's 18, but I have always said from day one, do not phone my house after 2:30. I do not want my daughter privy to any of these conversations. I've yet to get that request.
No.
You don't give a
No.
shit.
I have
You know
yet to
what I
have
mean?
my son watch me play baseball, watch me play hockey.
Oh, we played
I'm
hockey
46
once. He watched you play hockey once.
I'm 46 years, yeah, and what happened with that?
Oh,
You posted online about him watching a hockey game and he's got a banana in his hand.
I know.
She calls the police and you guys saying he can't eat a full banana, he's just a 3-year-old.
No, they didn't say that. Frida did. They thought it was amusing.
Yeah,
At the
but that's
visitation
what
center.
I mean. Any little excuse she can call you, she will call you and make up some excuse.
There's proof of her stalking our social media because it's all in the notes from the visitation center because she'd write in the journal.
She handed in
she would-
she handed in paperwork on her affidavit
Yeah.
and screenshots of my
And my
Facebook and her Facebook account.
I posted a picture of me.
A year after she got a court order, we both did,
Yeah.
stating that we are not allowed to go on each other's we are not supposed to be on each other's Facebook sites or use anything against from
She's
Facebook
presented
against
over
us.
25 printouts from my Facebook.
Even after a court order stating that she's not allowed. I can't.
25.
She's got me blocked. I don't block her, but she's got me blocked.
My friend
She had me blocked from day one.
edited a picture of me from way back in 2007. was the first time this picture was posted, and it's me and it says bitch please because his ex-wife was in it. So as a joke, when they wrote that, he took her out and wrote bitch please beside my head. So as a joke. So basically, whenever he's has issues with his ex over the last 10 years, he'll be like, Jen, post that picture. Because it's kind of his way of like, but nobody knows. And
She handed that into the judge.
yeah, she tried to convince the court that I did that post for her. Little did she
And this
know,
was-
like the
this
first
was-
post from the time it was posted was in 2007. She's taken the fact, she holds over all the time trips to the East Coast. Listen, me and Brooke were doing trips to the East Coast twice a year long before James came into our
Yeah.
life. And guess who pays for those
She
trips?
complained
My
to
rich
you.
father.
She
Let's be
complained
real.
to you guys that I took my current family to
Yeah.
the East Coast for a holiday. And I shouldn't do that. I should take that money and give it to her.
And the only reason why she knows that is because she is so concerned about my Facebook. But if she'd go past the time of James, she would see like these twice a year trips have been going on since we left the province 11 years ago. I have a very wealthy father, and he pays for Brooke to go. A lot of times, I
Very
don't
large
even go,
family
it's
that
just
John's
Brooke.
missing out on.
We
I mean,
intentionally
they're
had
all
our wedding
5,
one
7,
summer.
8, 10-year-old cousins.
Intentionally had a reception the following summer in hopes that John could be part of it.
Got married twice.
In
In the
hopes
same year.
that John could, but no. No.
No, he can't. Now it's strictly this, so he'll never see me play baseball. I used to play semi-pro back in the day.
He'll hear our families talking about Addison, yet he's never had the ability to meet her, because she refused. You
All
know?
his other 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old cousins, there's a whole hockey sock full of them out there. I have brother, 2 sisters with kids that he's never met. My nieces and nephews back in Saskatchewan. Jen has. They were all at the wedding. My nephew Ben, my young niece Anna, she did a year at Western
Thousands of dollars
University.
worth of unopened birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, Easter
I've missed
gifts.
every Christmas, missed every
But
birthday.
we go out and we spend the hundreds of dollars on him, just like we would do for the other children in our home, and they never get opened. In fact, we just donated a shit ton to Gigi. I call her Gigi. She's August, the little one that comes a couple days a week with us. I just donated all of John's stuff to her daycare.
And who watches
Unplayed.
iCarly with her? Who plays the game of life with her? Who plays Risk with her? I do. Who's a better dancer?
She got her school bus when they told her bus driver that. It's cute.
No, you're too old. You can't move your tuchus like that. Watch me.
So
It's disgusting. It is absolutely 100%
but John
disgusting.
don't know that. John just thinks, I know what John thinks, and I know what John's gonna grow up to think.
You should be going up to my son
And
and
that should
saying,
be
I'm
okay with
sorry.
your agency.
I am so sorry. I am sorry. You should be writing a letter, complete letter, to the courts apologizing, to me apologizing. You should put a blurb out in the fucking North Renfrew Times apologizing for your actions. Because all this stuff, everything that I'm going to get, I'm posting it online. I'm putting it on YouTube. I'm putting it on Twitter. I'm sending it to government organizations. I'm sending it to the social, Canadian Employment of Social Workers. I'm sending it to everybody. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms. They want this video.
Listen, it's you can do a lot more than what we're being led to believe that you can. You have a lot more rights and power than you think. I know when my son got out of control when he was a teenager, and I was reaching out and begging you guys for help. I even signed him over because I couldn't afford the programs or the treatment centers to put him into, the out of control teams or whatever. So I even signed him over to you guys. And I kept being told there's nothing. I have a friend within the agency. You'll never find out who it is because it could probably cost them their job. But I had a meeting one night with Tracy Larichuk and I videotaped it and I said, Tracy, I have some information for you. And oh, lo and behold, this program that I was told for 2 years never existed had been existing for over 30 years for teens who are out of control. But your agency insisted there was no such place that I could send my son. So, again, we are more than aware now, especially with the court mandated reporting therapists that we have, what rights you actually do have. And the lack of transparency.
It's going to him because he can go to the judge right away too. All this stuff. And if there's anything that goes, what you guys have done to me,
That's
you
right.
take it right to the Crown Prosecutor.
That's why we're videotaping. because he actually finds it hard to believe that we are still in the position we are in 6 years later when there's never been any kind of domestic violence. There's never been anything that would justify
Domestic
these
violence
hoops,
against me, it's been
these
reported.
hoops and these things that you want us to do, like, oh my God, I have a 24 and an 18-year-old. For you to sit across from me and tell me to take a parenting course is insulting.
Or to draw a picture
Okay,
of what I
like
do. and
John's
what I do to
autism
John.
is nothing. Like my niece, she was nonverbal. She had a feeding tube. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. She could barely see. She was catheter. Okay, so if I could put a catheter in and a feeding tube and deal with her crying, because with her form of CP and HIE, she could cry upwards to 72 hours. If I have the patience to deal with that, pretty sure I can deal with a high-functioning autistic child who's never shown any symptoms around me. So if I could handle him at a time and she said he was off the charts and he was had to be basically bubble wrapped,
Oh,
pretty sure we can handle him now.
when I was taking him home, we were out in the yard doing something. We had, what, 4 or 5 hours together in the afternoon
Yeah,
usually?
like
4 hours?
Noon or 1 till 5, yeah.
Yeah, right? Well, half hour of that was in the car driving with each other back and forth. But we goofed around. We hit the batting cage, we four-wheeled her. We had a good time. We were just laughing and giggling, breaking up the sweat, having a great time. During that time, he could have fell on the ground or it was a little cold. I had a fire going in the shop. He didn't work in the shop. We were doing some woodworking and stuff.
No, she said it was the fireplace in the house.
Well, the fireplace in the
And the
house,
house is what she blamed it on.
we don't even use that.
At that
Anyway.
time, though, I think we were. But you can't. It's one of those ones that's not hot to the touch.
Anyway,
Outside.
she showed you guys pictures that
Yeah.
she took. You couldn't even see a mark.
Yeah.
On his hand. Like, what are we looking at here? Well, you see that right there. Apparently, he burnt himself.
Yeah.
So you guys were at my door within an hour.
But he was only with us for 4 hours in that 24-hour time period, and we were investigated for that injury.
Within 24
Just because
hours,
she
we were-
said it happened at our house, he could have went home. He could
And
have.
she told that to the court, saying that I injured my
Yeah.
son at home, and now that's over my head. That's in court.
Yeah.
Like, is this what happens all the time? Do you guys allow this to happen to everybody?
No.
Well, no, you do, because I've talked to a lot of people that you guys are supposedly involved with, and this happens all the time. So it's not going to be the only one that's going to be coming down on you. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I'm frustrated because I know people that it hasn't been, and they're.
And that's
fathers-
the more
the
frustrating.
Exactly. That's why I'm frustrated, because my ex actually should be going through what he's going through. Should be asked to go through the ropes that he's being put through. You know what I mean? And then, like, I don't know.
You know, all because I'm 6 feet tall and a deep voice and get pretty mad. I get mad every time I got angry at your people because they got angry first. They were caught in a lie. I called them out on it. They got angry at me. They raised their voice at me. Every one of them. When I raise my voice back, I automatically get called a bad father, a deadbeat dad, a mental case. It's discrimination. 100% bias towards me. Hold on. You're gonna get that letter to the court. You're gonna tell her she's lying to everybody. This is enough. It's bullshit. This is 100% bullshit. You're gonna represent me in court. Well, yes. So I can see my son. So I can see my son. I named my son after my dad's brother, and my grandpa. And yet, she leads you to believe, tells the court that I don't care about my son. She left me one picture when she left. One picture of my son when she left. I had to sleep in my garage for 6 months because of her abuse. You guys laughed at me, saying that doesn't happen. Women don't do that to men. I'm sorry. Bullshit. Bullshit. This has got to stop. I want to see my son. I want to spend time with my son. I want that woman charged with alienation. I want Bobby, Mike, Jeff, and Bobby need to be, Nicole, need to be suspended immediately Investigations need to be done immediately on how they act towards how they treat the public, if they're doing their job right, if they have not taken anybody's rights away. If they've taken one right away, they're gone. Fucking gone. I will sue them, I will take their fucking pensions, I will take your pension and your pension. And if you don't think I can do it, I got 17 people waiting for me to do the right thing and get you people out of your fucking jobs so we can get better people in there. People who actually do their fucking job. Because this is absolutely ridiculous. 7 years. 7 years.
Yeah, like you can't deny people aren't doing their jobs right if we're 7 years into this. When you have every right to go to that court on behalf of John and make this happen. And after 7 years, when is that day ever going to come?
But that's work.
Because we can go to court.
It's too much
We
work.
can go back to court. I can go. My father could pay for a lawyer. We could go back to court and have the best representation. But we're still defending lies and bullshit that only your agency can put a stop to.
And I can't defend myself anymore.
How can
If
we
I have to defend myself against one more lie, I'm leaving. I'm packing up shit. I'm gone. Selling the fucking house. I'm moving to Saskatchewan. John will never see his dad again. But I cannot put myself through that mental anguish again. I can't put her and Brooke through that. We're gone. I do not have a son then. No thanks to you people. And I will hold you people responsible for destroying any relationship, any bond that I could have with my son because you get your fucking egos worked up. Give me a fucking break. If you really think that, if you really think that you guys have done nothing wrong, I'm going to say the same thing than what I told that fucking woman who had me charged. Next time you see your fucking mothers,
Stop.
slap that stupid cunt in the
Stop.
face for raising such a goddamn idiot.
Stop.
If you honestly think you can lay your head down at night and say you never broke any laws, never took my rights away, bullshit. Bullshit.
They didn't
I will see all of you
but
in
their
court.
agency did,
And
and
these,
people who
it
work
goes
at
down. Shit rolls downhill, honey.
I know.
It takes from the
But
boss.
she didn't know none of this was happening until now.
She should.
But
That's
now
another
that she
thing I've
does-
complained about is your lack of communication between the visitation center and child services. You guys don't communicate? Told straight out, we don't talk to those people. We don't talk to them about what's going on here. You have to!
So can we leave here today knowing that any worker who's come in contact with John, this situation will be questioned on their lack of doing what they should have been doing?
Sorry. Say that again.
Because every worker that we come in contact with, and we've had these initial meetings, and we've done these charts, and all we've asked is that certain questions be put forth to Frida. Face to face, not over a phone, not in an email, because I want you to feed off of her energy and her response, and the looks on her face and the vibe she's letting off. Because you feed off of my husband's vibe.
I don't even talk to her.
Now
They
just
don't
listen,
go to her
just
house.
listen.
They don't
You
say
feed off
nothing.
of
They
his
just fuck her.
reactions and his tone of voice and the way he is. So now I want you to put yourself in front of Frida and put some really hard questions for it. Make her squirm. Make her, as a mother, convince you that she's doing what is in the best interest of the child. And if you can truly believe that she is when you leave there, then you know what? I guess we'll accept it. But I can promise you, you're not going to leave that house or apartment or wherever the hell she's living thinking she's the best mom and doing what's best for John. No, I think you're actually going to leave there and go, holy shit.
You're going to state in
Wow.
your report in that letter to the court, you're going to state a 2018-2017 ruling in family court on parental alienation. Pretty detailed report. I think the names are Bali versus Bali or Bahi or BALHI. I think there's close to that is the name. Mother was found guilty of parental alienation, and the description of what she alienated, it's not even close. It is a minor of what my ex is doing. And it was only 9 months that this lady kept this child from this kid, from this father. And he won parental alienation case. Her child support was dropped to $1 a month, the judge informed her. $1 a month. Because she lied in court. And that took 9 months. 9 months. Now it's been 7 years. 53 hours total time. That alone is disgusting. How am I supposed to
How
get to
can
know my son in just over 2 days? Spread out over 5 years, 4 years, an hour here, an hour there.
If that's not alienating a parent from their child, what is it then? What would your professional opinion be?
The fact that your
Oh, I want to know their answer
people,
to this one. I want to know what their answer
the
is.
fact that your people would not do their work is a form of alienating.
No, but I
They
want to
should be charged with
if Mike's made it very clear this is an alienation. Numerous other people
No,
have made it
that's
very
not how
clear
it
that
is.
she's not alienating him. Then what is it? What would you call that? What she's doing to their relationship as father and son
My
by
claim to be the expert.
not allowing a safe environment for them to visit and get to know each other,
I don't
to
need
work
that.
their way into home visits.
I don't need that.
And she's prevented that every time.
Frida just needs to jump in her car,
No, I
take
don't know
John
their
to my
answer.
yard, drop him off, say I'll pick him up in a couple of days, or I'll pick him up in a couple hours, or I'll pick him up.
That'll never happen.
Oh, I know.
Because then she'd have to admit she was
That's
wrong
the
about all
law.
the
That's
accusations
at the
she's made
start.
against you.
That's the law.
Yeah.
50-50 at the start.
No, but I want them to answer. What do you call that if it's not alienated one parent from the other?
So I think when you look, we were looking at, so there's access at the access center, right?
Mhm.
And that's the piece where the agency was trying to work with you around moving that forward, right?
Mhm.
And I know it didn't work out how you had hoped, how anyone had hoped.
You already got
Wait, I
that.
want to hear what she says.
So we have reopened it, right? And looking at, so part of it is at the time, and the one visit, and it's just like where, and I know it was hard when John talked to you, but it was, my understanding was part of it is
Hard.
it's not
Heartbreaking.
heartbreaking. And you made a decision not to have access, you were gonna go and connect with people, right? And so again, I think Becky and Mike have had the file open and trying to work with you, and I know that, we worked on kind of a plan together to really, the hope was that you could move towards co-parenting. I know it hasn't.
How come we
been
got 2
done.
emails in 6 months? If they're willing
No,
to work with us, 2
So-
emails in 6 months. That's another 6 months that I have not seen my son. Now it's pushing 2 years.
Becky and Mike aren't working with us. Becky and Mike are doing what Frida wants us to do.
Yeah.
And they want us to do out this forum. He sent me this email where it's what James wants, what Frida wants, and what CAS wants. Well, if we need to fill out paperwork stating what we want, then clearly you haven't been listening to us for the last 6 years. We just want a safe, healthy environment with supportive person for visits.
Stop asking what Frida wants.
Who gives a
It's
shit
not up
what
to
she
Frida.
wants? It's not up to Frida. Okay, that's all we want. So no. And according to our court mandated reporting therapist, all this BS paperwork and all of this, when there's been no true involvement. Your agency was involved because they can't get along, not because John's ever been in danger. Not because there's been a child, according to you guys, ever in either home. Right? Right. So therefore, you should be working with both parents just as much as you're working with just one of them. So you should be going to Frida and saying, Frida, all this paperwork, all this is just prolonging something that's already been going on for 5 years. James has raised children before. He's continuing to. We don't need to go through all of this. This is preventing John from seeing his father sooner than later. Sooner than later. You guys have every right to go to her, and if you don't get the answers that you like, because you're not going to, say, okay, Frida, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to escalate this to the court system, because that's your right. That's your right.
It's your
And we're
duty.
giving you the
That's your
opportunity now to
duty.
do your right, because if our doctor decides to go to the courts, then you're going to be answering to a completely different people than me and James as to why this would be allowed to go on the way it has. Let's be real. The court is going to want to know, why wouldn't you guys facilitate a safe place with a support person for him?
First thing they're going to want to know is why
Why
is your
not?
psychiatrist filing paperwork on your behalf? That's the first thing they're going to want to know.
We're beating the dead
Why
horse.
is he scared for what's going on? Why is he filing paperwork on your behalf? Why did he come to the Crown with evidence and not you people
On behalf of John.
on behalf of John? Like this, it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And if it doesn't, tell me now, because then I'll put my house up for sale and I'm gone. I'm gone.
Because we can't
Never see me
live
again.
in a town where we can only go certain places.
I can't even come to Pep. Can't come to Pep. Too scared because every time she sees me, When I get a knock on the door from the cops, why are you bothering Frida? Why are you yelling at her? Why? I'm not doing any of
You
that.
can't even see my kids within a 2-block radius and it's getting reported.
Yeah.
Like,
But
come on.
still,
Pardon?
it's like currently.
The 2 court dates ago. Yeah. But ever
Still
since
not,
then,
still not.
we avoid this. We haven't been in this part of town since the last time. Let's be real. We're not stupid.
We don't come
My
to this
kids
part of
aren't
town
stupid.
anyway.
No.
I don't have any dealings with the
No.
south side. I don't come to the Canics
No.
here. I don't.
But I had a friend that used to live right there, and there'd be no way that I would. No way. My son, when he was living in Petawawa, Logan, avoid that strip mall. That was the last time you were seen there. Please shut off my house.
So the non-social working answer to what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is we opened the file because we want you to have a relationship with John. I think that's, the
Yeah.
phone call
Okay.
came, that's bottom line is a child should be
So
able to
why then was
have
my
a safe
file closed
relationship.
7 different occasions?
Because
So
we
those
didn't do
are
paperwork.
different
No,
different
because they
reasons,
got their
different
egos
circumstances.
crushed.
No, Mike, the last time
Bruised.
it was closed, most recent time it was closed is because we didn't submit paperwork, because we didn't submit this or do that, when they know all along what we want. So don't bother emailing or calling us, wanting this and wanting that. You know what we want. We want a safe, healthy environment with a supportive person, and again, doesn't need to be Chad, doesn't need to be Brooke,
I want my son.
okay? That's all we want.
That's all I
And
said
we
from
want
the
you
start.
guys
I
to
want my son.
facilitate it. That's all we're asking. That's not asking much. So you either answer those questions to us, and you figure it out with Frida, or it's gonna escalate to the point where it's not gonna be us filing the court papers. Okay? It's gonna be our therapist.
Let's go look at this rationally.
We're beating a dead horse.
Okay, I know, that's why we're gonna do it this way, we're gonna end it off on this note, let's do it rationally here, okay? Do you wanna keep going down this path on how your social workers are looked at, are treated by the public? You guys don't treat me like, everybody like you treat me, I'm sure of that, because there's a lot of good success stories that you guys have. I've witnessed it, I've talked to a lot of people, alright? Just imagine how better your reputations would be if you actually stepped the fuck up and put a foot down to some of these crazy parents who are doing these type of goddamn things. I guarantee you in 2 to 3 years, that 4 to 7 year wait list is gonna drop in half. And it's gonna keep dropping. You people stand here for your rights, stand up for the rights of children and parents on both sides. Learn to show no bias, take more training, stop telling your folks to get their egos in the way, because that's wrong. You could get yelled at. My auntie is a child safety worker in Alberta. She's had her car demolished, vandalized, multiple occasions, but their rule is unless a social worker has actually been physically harmed, we will not put the burden of charging them. We will not. We cannot, because that just sets back everything we've done, worked with the parents for so long. And they work in twos. Mandatory. It's do your job, do it right, do it fair, do it lawfully. You guys would have a way better reputation around town. Because you know as well as I do, out of the 2 kids you help, you fucked 8. The way you guys are going. The way you got, I found 17, 18 different people who are gonna sign on to bringing you guys down. To bringing most of you people out of your jobs. Because this is ridiculous. Unless people aren't suspended and investigated ASAP, then we might as well not even be here. If word gets out on paper, in a paper somewhere, or word gets out of town that you guys are gonna start cracking skulls at your workplace, start putting a foot down, if you guys are putting your foot down, not only with bad parents who lie to you, but your own social workers doing your job, wow, take the initiative. Be the hero. Don't be the lazy one that just wants to get to 4 o'clock just so they can collect a fucking paycheck.
And that example of the alienation, that was shown to us from our therapist, that's how serious he is.
The day she lied when she brought the cops in the yard and put on that big song and pony dance show. Oh my God, he beats me all the time, it's physical, holy Jesus, blah, 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 blah. Mr. Brits, you get out of your yard. She's leaving. She's leaving you. And she told me 5 minutes before that, are you happy? Yeah, just doing just fine. Wow, what's going on? You're not gonna be in about 5 minutes.
Well, the day before she showed up at his work and they had lunch together, his good friend Roger watched John while they went out and had a little bit of bite to eat and stuff together, and John got to meet everybody in his unit. And then very next day he came home.
You know why she came to see me the day before that? She'd take the bank card to get groceries. She bought everything, groceries, $650 for the groceries, and then took it all the next day.
Except for a can of soup.
There was a couple cans of soup and a broken can opener. That's all that was left. And a dresser drawer that was only 3 dressers in it because the rest of the drawers were already rushed out, put in the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, I had one TV that was sitting. Everything was sitting by the front door waiting to be hauled out. And she had Andon and Cole. And I don't know. She must have had somebody who was also legal to drive both vehicles because she's the only one there that had a driver's license. And she took both vehicles. Both vehicles. And she still managed to sell mine. I didn't get a dime out of that. When I sold her house, I didn't get a dime of that. I gave her the money for that. Pay off more bills. After she left, I still got phone calls daily, from collection agencies wanting her. I'm sorry, she doesn't live here no more. Sorry, I didn't know these phone calls were coming in because I was at work all day. They'd phone during the day, well, she's at home. She lied to them completely. And then as soon as she left, and I'm home during the day, well, I get these phone calls. Or there's a lot of messages. It wasn't 2 days after she left. I got 6 messages on my sheet. 2 of them were from collection agencies looking for it. And it happened daily. She's still scamming people for money. Still. Who the hell posts on Facebook bragging about how much government refund she could get because her son has autism? And then the very next post complained about needing money, at least $2,000 to finish her tattoo.
I don't know. You guys, Frida has given you enough to go on that you shouldn't really even need to speak to Jen and James.
Exactly.
In reality. That's exactly how it is. Because the autism, that's one example. Like she said that army guys triggered him. Can you ask James to show up in his uniform next visit? What kind of mother would ask for somebody to show up looking a certain way to upset their child intentionally? Loon, okay? And that's in the file because she requested that at a visitation center. I flipped out when I seen that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, who would do that? That didn't raise a red flag, and that was 4 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, she's doing anything she can to make him the big, bad monster.
The very first court appearance.
Him referring to his past and stealing and all of her taking that, that's,
I didn't find that
yes,
out
it has
until
nothing to
after.
do with John. But it certainly has a lot to do with the character of the mother in this situation. Okay? It's proof from the very beginning. It's just about getting James.
It's not about getting James, it's money. That she does not, they're not children to her. They're just a form of income.
Yeah.
And then when income dries up, she's got to find some other sucker to get pregnant so she can have another form of income.
Yeah.
Not a child, not a son,
Yeah.
another form of income.
You're
That's
right.
the only reason why she got she was so happy.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been happier. And as soon as my son was born, it was not a week. I'm phoning you people. Something happened to mother of my son. She went from the extreme left to the extreme right of the mental spectrum in a week and a half. You have that on. I phoned you guys daily. Please help.
For the woman he loved.
Please help. She's freaking out. She's losing her mind. I get shit thrown at me. I gotta live in my garage because all I do is tell her kids this Saturday, give your dad a call, tell him you love him. And they yell at me and then yell at them. You guys are fucking assholes, motherfuckers, you deserve to fucking do it. You can't say that. I can say whatever I want. But no, you guys, oh, he can't be around 4-wheeler. Can't be around, no, he's too loud. He can't go to the batting cage, no. You should see him in a baseball.
But see, Frida didn't realize that we had all this stuff at our home. So she was using the loud noises and chaos and busyness as part of an autism triggers. But she didn't know that James had since moved on with his life and he had acquired all these belongings.
I've had the cage
Right?
for a long while.
Yeah, but you never had it. She was there. So
Not the cage, but she.
Yeah.
Well,
But-
I had the cage.
no, not when she was there. You bought that when you after you and I.
Oh,
Same
yeah,
with the four-wheeler, and same with, you know what I mean, the drum set. She didn't know none of that existed. So then he comes for the visits and we do this. I even
Yeah,
videotape
I
him
bought all that
playing
stuff,
the
Joe.
drum set. So you're telling me loud noises affects him? But we're looked at as bad parents by Tracy Larichuk, by all of them, because
Who's Tracy Larry?
she was the one that brought that autistic lady to tell us stuff. Not lady wasn't autistic, but just information about autism. You know what I mean? Like, we're the bad ones because we're questioning it. We have every right to question it. Because everything that's been used against us as a reason for us not being part of John's life has now been proven false. And nobody seems to care. Nobody thinks, oh, wait a minute. Maybe Frida was just saying that so that she could keep John away from James and his family. Because that's her reason behind not allowing John to meet his grandmother or his uncle and his cousins on James's side of the family. We're not talking step family. We're talking actual biological, only living grandmother. Was because new people scared him and affected his autism.
2 or 3 times, Mom came up from Saskatchewan, stayed
Yeah.
months,
One time, yeah.
months, just to hope to see her grandson.
One year, it was almost 5 months she remained in this province. And we just requested over and over again, and it was denied.
Are you guys okay if we
Mhm.
take this away?
Yeah.
I have lots and lots of information I have to go through. Probably some files to read and those kinds of things.
Read her affidavits and read mine. The
If
only thing that's
anything in the
changed in
file
mine
you
is me
read-
defending myself from her previous slide, a previous affidavit. I've always said the exact same thing
Yeah.
every time. Hers have changed, like outright lies. Outright lies. That
And
you
the
can blatantly-
children's advocacy lawyer there.
When you write that, if you write a letter to the lawyer, because I don't think you guys are gonna, or the courts, I don't think you guys are gonna anyway. You just won't.
What I will commit to is writing you a letter
Mhm.
to let you know what I've
Nothing
found,
I
what
can
I've
do. I
come
can't
up
go to that court. I can't hand it into the court.
No, but I'm committing to
Yeah.
responding to you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
just to getting back to you and letting you know that what we've heard and what we found. And Suzanne and I will go over a few things, and I have you've given me some names also, so we'll take a look at that. I am apologizing that I can't commit to anything to you right in this second,
Yep.
but I am committing to getting back to you.
Communicate with my current
So-
worker now. Find out what the plan is.
Yeah,
Jennifer.
I know you've met with Jen.
Yeah, she came to the house.
Okay, so that's what I can commit to for now, and it hasn't fallen on deaf ears.
A safety check on John, see if he's still in the province for us. Like, we don't want an address.
We have no idea.
We've never asked for an address.
Yeah, we'll check with Jen on
Yeah.
where she is with that.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do want you to have a relationship with John.
Mhm.
That's the bottom line, right? And
What happens if I
appreciate
bruise your
that-
egos?
So if you do want him to have a relationship with John, as long as it's in the best interest of John, meaning not in a stressful environment.
And you know what? It might take some time to look the way we want it to look.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how.
Hey, it's been 7 years. What's another year, right?
But it's also been 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. So at that same time, meaning she's not gonna drag her feet, as I assume?
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can commit to going through all of this. I probably have 8 pages of notes and things that you.
We don't wanna hear
look
from
at,
you
but-
tomorrow, cause that would tell us you truly didn't look into
Yeah.
Or
things.
you
Or
like,
read stuff.
communicate.
Yeah.
Communicate.
Touch base with him. My husband's
Key.
all about, if you're a week into this and you're still reading,
Yeah.
hey James, just touching base, still looking over stuff, so I'll call you, you know what I mean? That's, it's just
Progressing, more to
level
follow.
of respect. Now, off the record, I have to say, I love your hair. Are you embracing the gray?
Oh,
Are you
yes.
of that
Oh, yes.
just, yeah?
My mom had it.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. It is what it is.
I have so many
I didn't
friends
turn
that are
gray
embracing
until I
their
started
gray.
fighting with you guys.
Yeah, a lot of my
That's
friends
true.
are embracing their gray, and they look fabulous. I'm like freaking because I've been so busy, I can't get my roots done. Like, I actually went lighter
No, no.
so that my gray could hide.
Go with it.
Honestly, she looks great. It's like, I'm not ready yet, but all my friends are, and they're like, Jennifer, you're pushing that thing. Well, I don't care.
I was told not to bother fighting it.
Yeah.
I would just leave.
So your mom, or she obviously,
Yeah.